It was the aura of a spirit embryo realm cultivator. It's an expert from the Imperial Guards of Ditian. Some people recognized that Ditian's Imperial Guards were the closest to this place, and an expert had rushed over. Get lost. Lu Ming berated and took a step forward. Boom. This step seemed to borrow the power of the cauldron, and endless pressure pressed down on the powerhouses. How is that possible? Countless people gasped. Lu Ming took a step forward and actually made a few spirit embryo realm experts cough up blood as they were sent flying. This was too unbelievable. Lu Ming seems to be able to borrow the power of the divine nine-dragon cauldron. Terrifying, terrifying. How did he do it? The divine nine-dragon cauldron can't be touched by emperors. Not only can he lift it, but he can also borrow the power of the cauldron. How can this be? The surroundings were in a clamor. The experts who wanted to stop Lu Ming had a terrible look on their faces. They did not dare to make a move. Lu Ming stepped on the void and walked faster and faster. In the end, he directly ran, covering dozens of miles in an instant. In the blink of an eye, 3 hours had passed. Lu Ming was surrounded by people. Everyone looked at Lu Ming and the person who was carrying the cauldron in a daze. Compared to the divine nine-dragon cauldron, Lu Ming's size was really small. However, he could carry the divine nine-dragon cauldron. This scene was deeply imprinted in everyone's hearts. We've arrived at the Ocean Wave's ancient garden. Lu Ming's gaze was fixed ahead. After 3 hours, Lu Ming finally arrived at the Highland Ancient Gardens. In front of them, the palace was located on a mountain peak. The clouds were misty, making it look like a paradise. This was the Ocean Wave's ancient garden, the place where the Emperor Heaven Divine Palace was used to receive important guests. The commotion outside had obviously alerted the Highland Ancient Garden. Buzz, buzz. A figure flew out. It was Xie Zhen as well as the man and woman. The protector was also there, and there were also 2 middle-aged men. At this moment, Xie Zhen and the others were looking at Lu Ming in shock. Lu Ming was actually carrying a huge cauldron over. Lu Ming, it's you again, you bastard. What are you doing here? Are you here to die? Xie Zhen coldly shouted, his eyes flickering with an ice-cold light. Hand over little Qing. Since little Qing is unwilling to go back with you, I won't let her go with you. Lu Ming's voice could be heard from afar. Little bastard, you still haven't given up? Fine, since you've come to die, I'll send you on your way. Take him down. Xie Zhen waved his hand. The 2 middle-aged men stepped out, and a powerful aura burst out from their bodies. The spirit embryo realm. These 2 burly men were spirit embryo realm experts. Get lost. Lu Ming shouted and took a step forward. An endless pressure exploded. The 2 men's expressions changed drastically. They screamed and were sent flying, coughing up blood. How did this happen? Xie Zhen's eyes almost popped out of their sockets. His mouth was wide open in disbelief. Thump. Lu Ming took another step forward and a violent pressure pressed down on Xie Zhen. 8th Prince, be careful. The Guardian moved and appeared in front of Xie Zhen. A terrifying aura burst out from his body. With a punch, the world shook and the space trembled violently. A pillar of air shot up into the sky and blocked Lu Ming's stomp with the power of the cauldron. Spiritual God realm powerhouses were terrifyingly powerful. Lu Ming could not do anything to them even with the power of the cauldron. The legendary divine nine-dragon cauldron of 9 dragons was pulled out by you. Unbelievable. I can't let you live today. A killing intent flashed through the eyes of the Guardian Knight as he stepped forward. Boom. As the Guardian stepped forward, his aura soared into the sky and reached an unbelievable level. Endless pressure spread out and covered a radius of 10,000 miles. It was like the might of heaven. Chapter 842. 842 Suppressing the Spirit God. In all directions, countless people's expressions changed drastically. They felt as if a mountain was pressing down on them, as if a great disaster was about to befall them. Not good, the Venerable One is about to show his might. Let's retreat. Retreat. A series of terrified screams rang out in the surroundings, and countless figures were forced to retreat like ants. I've already spared you once, but you still don't know how to repent. Then I'll behead you. And NBSP, die. The Venerable Protector reached out his palm and struck down. A dazzling sword light appeared and slashed at Lu Ming. Selah. The sound of space tearing was heard. The sword light slashed down, directly tearing the space apart, and a dark spatial crack appeared. In the distance, Countless people widened their eyes. It was said that the spiritual God Realm Masters could really break open space and tear open space cracks. However, if there was no major battle, ordinary people would not have the opportunity to see the spiritual God Realm Masters in action. Now he had finally seen it. It was just like the rumors. How terrifying was the power of a palm that could break space? How could Lu Ming resist it? Break? Lu Ming let out a long roar. He grabbed the legs of the Divine Nine-Dragon Cauldron with both hands and actually lifted it up. Boom. The huge Divine Nine-Dragon Cauldron crashed toward the sword light. Clang. The sword radiance hit the Divine Nine-Dragon Cauldron, but it only made a sound and was destroyed. There was not a trace of damage on the cauldron. Hand over little Qing. Lu Ming roared. He grabbed the cauldron and strode forward. Then he lifted the cauldron and smashed it at the guardian like a hammer. Evil creature. The Dharma Protector roared as his hair and beard stood up. His aura became even more terrifying. A giant sword appeared in his hand. As he crazily poured in his true essence, the giant sword grew to 10,000 meters long. Like a divine sword, it slashed toward the giant cauldron. Clang. The 10,000-meter-long sword collided with the cauldron, creating an earth-shaking boom. A storm of energy tore through the sky, leaving a black crack. Whoosh! A beam of sword chi slashed down on the ground, creating a crack that was hundreds of miles long. It was too terrifying. Such a great battle could definitely destroy the heavens and earth. A figure stepped in the air and staggered. It was the Venerable Guardian, a spiritual God Realm powerhouse. He was actually forced to retreat. The scene was in an uproar. Everyone could not believe their eyes. Lu Ming, a young man in his 20s with the cultivation of the spiritual ocean tier, had actually lifted the cauldron and repelled a powerful spiritual God Realm expert. This was too unbelievable and felt unreal, as if he was dreaming. Xiejin's eyes widened, and he was almost scared to death. The ancient Saint Dynasty's protector was actually forced back by Lu Ming. If the cauldron were to smash at him, wouldn't he be turned into ashes? His back was drenched in cold sweat as he retreated towards the Ocean Wave's ancient garden. The Ocean Wave's ancient garden had an extremely powerful formation, so it would be safe. Hand over little Qing. Lu Ming strode forward and the huge cauldron smashed at the guardian again. The Guardian Knight roared. A giant sword with 5 golden chakras appeared above his head. This was the bloodline of a Guardian Knight, a 5th-level divine-level expert. This bloodline was already extremely terrifying when it was unleashed by a spiritual God Realm expert. The Guardian's figure rushed into the huge sword. The huge sword whistled and attacked Lu Ming. Lu Ming lifted the huge cauldron and smashed it down. There was another deafening roar, shaking the heavens and earth. The giant sword was deflected away, but Lu Ming also staggered back. His chi and blood were in turmoil and he spat out a mouthful of blood. However, the strange thing was that when he spat out a mouthful of blood, it was directly absorbed by the Divine Nine-Dragon Cauldron. The Divine Nine-Dragon Cauldron glowed and Lu Ming felt that the weight of the Divine Nine-Dragon Cauldron had become lighter. It was more convenient for him to swing it. He took a step forward, and the Divine Nine-Dragon Cauldron once again smashed toward the Venerable Guardian. The huge sword shook and collided with the huge cauldron. Bang! This time, the giant sword was sent flying hundreds of miles away. It turned back into a human and crashed into the ground, creating an unfathomably deep pit. Countless people were dumbfounded. Lu Ming was simply going against the heavens. He had actually beaten a spiritual God Realm powerhouse to the point where he was half dead. Lu Ming did not pay any more attention to the Guardian. He carried the huge cauldron and walked towards the Ocean Wave's ancient garden step by step. Evil creature, you're really audacious. He should be killed. Kill. 2 shouts came from the Ocean Wave's ancient garden. 2 figures rushed out of the garden and stood in the void. These 2 old men exuded terrifying auras that were no weaker than the Venerable Guardians. In fact, they were even stronger. There was more than one spiritual God Realm expert from the ancient sage dynasty of the Central Continent. These 2 old men were also powerful cultivators from the Gu Empire of the Central Continent. The 2 elders appeared and charged at Lu Ming without a word. I told you to hand over Shaoqing. Otherwise, I'll raise the Ocean Wave's ancient garden to the ground today. A low roar came from Lu Ming's mouth, and his eyes revealed a crazed look. Boom. Boom. He was fearless. He carried the Divine Nine-Dragon Cauldron and started a shocking battle with the 2 elders. More and more people came from all directions, but no one dared to come within 3,000 miles. A spiritual god-level battle was too shocking. Anyone below the spiritual god realm would only die if they got close. In a room deep within the Hailan Gardens, Xian Yinqing was sitting cross-legged on the bed. Her aura was extremely weak. Her true essence and spirit fire had been sealed. She looked like an ordinary person. She sat on the bed quietly, her eyes filled with longing. Lu Ming, how are you? I originally thought that with the battle of karmic luck drawing near, those fellows wouldn't come again. I didn't expect that it would still come. I can't hide from it. I don't want to go back. I don't want to go back to that home, that disgusting home. Xian Yinqing murmured. The ancient Saint dynasty of the central continent had a long history. Legend had it that it had been passed down from the ancient times for countless years. The Xia family of the ancient Saint dynasty had the bloodline of the ancient human emperor. The bloodline that they awakened was a pure and holy bloodline. However, Xian Yinqing had awakened the heavenly demon bloodline. To the pure and holy Xia family, it was a lowly and dirty bloodline. Moreover, Xian Yinqing's mother was only a maidservant. Her father had given birth to Xian Yinqing. However, after Xian Yinqing awakened his foreign bloodline, her mother was regarded as a heretic and killed. After all, Xian Yinqing was the descendant of the emperor of the ancient Saint dynasty, which was why he managed to survive. However, she was mocked and humiliated. Xian Yinqing had lived in the shadow of that family since she was young. She hated that family and wanted to escape. In the Xia family of the ancient sacred dynasty, there were also examples like her in history. The back of the so-called light was darkness. Among the divine bloodlines, there would occasionally be a completely dark bloodline. In history, there had been such a bloodline that had caused chaos in the world and almost destroyed the Gu dynasty. As such, all those with such a strange bloodline had a miserable ending. Xian Yinqing hated that family because of her mother. She also knew that if she continued to stay in that family, she would not have a good ending. In the dark, there were countless people who wanted to get rid of her. That was why she wanted to escape. Chapter 843. 843 Chapter 843 Experts taking action. She had escaped a few times, but every time she would be found and brought back. To put it nicely, they would not allow an alien like her to ruin the reputation of the Xia family of the ancient Saint dynasty. What a joke. She had never said that she was from the Xia family of the ancient Saint dynasty. She did not want to be a member of the Xia family. Those people from the Xia family just didn't want her to live in this world. If not for the fact that the current emperor of the ancients was her father, she would have died long ago. Lu Ming, no matter what kind of environment I'll face when I go back, I won't die. I'll work hard to cultivate. When you're the king of the world, come and pick me up. Xian Yinqing mumbled, her eyes glimmering. She believed in Lu Ming. He would definitely be able to do it. Hand over little Qing. Since little Qing is unwilling to go back with you, I won't let her go with you. Suddenly an angry roar came from outside. Xian Yinqing's delicate body trembled. It was Lu Ming's voice. Lu Ming, what are you doing here? You shouldn't have come. Xian Yinqing's eyes were filled with anxiety as he stood up and rushed out of the door. Unfortunately, this room was surrounded by arrays. Her cultivation was sealed and she couldn't get out. As soon as she touched the wooden door, there was a flash of lightning on the wooden door. Her whole body flew out as if she had been struck by lightning. She fell to the ground and spat out a mouthful of blood. Lu Ming, why did you come? Leave quickly. Xian Yinqing shouted, but his voice could only echo in the small room. Hand over little Qing. From time to time, Lu Ming's angry roars could be heard from the outside. Along with the angry roars, there were earth-shaking rumbles. Lu Ming, hurry up and leave. Xian Yinqing screamed, tears streaming down her face. She rushed to the wooden door again, but just like before, she was struck back by the lightning and spat out blood. She did not know what method Lu Ming had used to be able to fight against the experts of the ancient sage dynasty. However, she knew that the Xia family of the ancient Saint dynasty had sent a few spiritual god realm experts. Moreover, this was 9 dragons, and the Xia clan of the ancient sacred dynasty was the Detian Divine Palace's distinguished guest. How could the Detian Divine Palace allow Lu Ming to deal with their distinguished guest? Lu Ming was destined to be in danger. Indeed, not long after, 2 more powerful cultivators from the Xia clan of the ancient Saint dynasty charged out. The battle outside was even more intense. Lu Ming. You idiot. Xian Yinqing murmured. No matter what, he couldn't stop his tears from flowing down his cheeks. There was blood at the corner of her mouth, a mixture of blood and tears, and she was as beautiful as a flower. In the sky above the ocean wave's ancient garden, the battle had entered a state of white heat. Lu Ming used the divine nine-dragon cauldron to fight against two spiritual god realm powerhouses. The whole world was boiling and spatial cracks appeared in a flash. Lu Ming had actually suppressed two spiritual god realm powerhouses with the help of the divine nine-dragon cauldron. Yes, he had the upper hand in a one-on-one battle. How dare you, Lu Ming? How dare you attack the guests of the ancient Saint dynasty? Are you trying to frame the Emperor Heaven Divine Palace? Take him down and hand him over to His Majesty. A series of cold shouts came from the sky, and more than a dozen figures descended. Each of them exuded a terrifying aura. Spiritual God Realm. These dozen figures were all peerless powerhouses of the spiritual God Realm. The spiritual God Realm experts of the Empyrean Heaven Divine Palace had arrived. This evil creature can actually move the divine nine-dragon cauldron that even emperors can't touch. He must be an evil demon. We should capture him, get the secret out of him, and then put him to death by 1,000 cuts. One of the old men shouted coldly, his voice filled with killing intent. This old man was wearing a starry robe. He was the elder with real power in the Shangguan family, the grandfather of Shangguan Wuqin and Shangguan Wuling, Shangguan Zhongyuan. Half a year ago, he had repeatedly sent experts to kill Lu Ming, but they were all killed by Lu Ming. He had long wanted to find an opportunity to kill Lu Ming completely. Now it was the right time for him to take action. Thump. Shangguan Zhong took a step forward. Starlight fell from the sky and turned into a starry sword, slashing violently at Lu Ming. As one of the few spiritual god powerhouses in the Shangguan family, his combat strength was extremely terrifying. Boom. Boom. At the same time, a few other spiritual god realm powerhouses also made their move. A terrifying attack was directed at Lu Ming. In total, there were 6 powerful cultivators, including the 2 from the ancient Saint dynasty of the central continent, who attacked Lu Ming at the same time. The entire sky was shattered and cracks appeared in space. Lu Ming felt an unparalleled pressure. Roar. The 9 dragons' bloodline in Lu Ming's body howled and emitted a thick blood qi. Lu Ming spat another mouthful of blood onto the divine nine-dragon cauldron. It was the blood of the 9 dragons. The divine nine-dragon cauldron shook. Lu Ming swung it and swept it out. Boom, boom, boom. All 6 attacks were blocked by Lu Ming, but his body shook violently. His bones and armor seemed to be breaking and his body went numb. However, in the end he still managed to block it. In the surroundings, the others gasped. Lu Ming had actually fought against 6 great spiritual god powerhouses alone and survived. Although it was because of the divine nine-dragon cauldron, being able to use the divine nine-dragon cauldron was a very terrifying thing in itself. Everyone, this kid is evil. Let's attack together and capture him. We'll hand him over to His Majesty to deal with. Shangguan Zhongyuan called out. In the sky, there were still 7 spiritual god realm powerhouses who had not made a move. They had disdained to attack a junior together. However, after hearing Shangguan Zhongyuan's words, their eyes flickered. The divine nine-dragon cauldron is of great importance. It hasn't moved since ancient times, but it moved because of him. We really have to take him down and ask him. Someone said. Not bad. Someone replied. Thump thump. More people stepped out, their auras violent. Come. Today I'll slaughter the spiritual god. Lu Ming roared, his eyes filled with madness. He had wanted to use the divine nine-dragon cauldron to defeat the venerable guardian and take Xian Yinqing away from 9 dragons. However, the high and mighty spiritual god realm experts of the Empyrean Heaven Divine Palace had actually joined forces to deal with him without asking for the reason. In that case, he could only fight today. Attack. This time, a total of 9 spiritual god realm powerhouses attacked. The terrifying power was vast and mighty. 9 attacks of various colors enveloped Lu Ming. The attack had yet to reach Lu Ming, but he already felt a terrifying pressure. It was as if his body was about to explode. If he had not used the power of the divine nine-dragon cauldron to protect himself, he would have been crushed into pieces. Roar. Roar. In his body, the 9-dragon bloodline was roaring non-stop. At this moment, Lu Ming could no longer suppress it. The 9-dragon bloodline soared into the sky and roared. The roars of the dragons resounded throughout the world. The body of the 9-dragon bloodline expanded rapidly, becoming more than 10,000 meters long, and entangled the divine nine-dragon cauldron. That's a divine bloodline. My God, what's going on? Wasn't Lu Ming's blood meridian a stone tablet? How did you become a true dragon? Two divine-level bloodlines, how is that possible? How is that possible? Some people who had seen Lu Ming's moves shouted in disbelief. A single person actually had two divine-level bloodlines. Could it be that his second bloodline was a divine-level bloodline? That talent was too terrifying. There were only a few people in ancient times. Chapter 844. 844 Killing the Spirit God. The bloodline of the 9 dragons emerged and they roared into the sky. The divine 9-dragon cauldron also shook violently and light filled the air. And NBSP, boom boom. Lu Ming swung the divine 9-dragon cauldron and swept it across, destroying the 9 attacks again. The 9-dragon bloodline roared again and spat out a large mouthful of blood on the divine 9-dragon cauldron. At this moment, the true dragon carvings on the divine 9-dragon cauldron seemed to come to life, and dragon roars came from it. At this moment, in 9 dragons, the 9 dragon veins were shaking violently, and there were also dragon roars. Countless people were shocked. Clang, clang. On 8 of the dragon veins, there were 8 divine 9-dragon cauldrons. All of them were shaking. All of a sudden, the divine 9-dragon cauldron closest to Lu Ming shook the most intensely, sending gravel flying. The divine cauldron actually left the ground, tore through the void and disappeared. At this moment, in the depths of the 6 great ancient families, the eyes of the 6 family heads suddenly flashed. The strange bloodline of a true dragon. This is the child that His Majesty was talking about. The 6 of them spoke almost at the same time. Then they stood up and stepped forward. When they took a step forward, a crack automatically appeared in the space. They stepped into the crack and disappeared. A million miles away, Fatty was roaring. Ah, break. His chubby body swelled up and his eyes turned red. The battle axe in his hand slashed out crazily. At the same time, Wang Haoxian, Ruan Tingting, and Xiao Xian also assisted him in attacking the formation that trapped them. The fat man spat a mouthful of blood onto the battle axe, causing it to become even more powerful. A terrifying axe light shot out as if it could split the heavens and earth. Boom. Smoke and dust filled the air, and the formation collapsed with a loud bang. The formation was broken. Let's go to the Ocean Wave's ancient garden. The fatty roared as the group of them flew towards the Ocean Wave's ancient garden at high speed. In the sky above the Ocean Wave's ancient garden. This kid is demonic. Shengguan Zhongyuan roared. At that moment, the remaining spiritual god powerhouses appeared around Lu Ming and surrounded him. There were a total of 13 spirit god experts. Attack. Clang. Just as they were about to make a move, a tremor came from the sky, and another huge cauldron descended. Again. Another divine 9-dragon cauldron? How is that possible? The second one. Could it be that Lu Ming can control the second one? Everyone was so shocked that they almost jumped up. Come, accompany me in battle. Lu Ming let out a long howl and stretched out his right hand, grabbing one of the legs of the second divine 9-dragon cauldron. He grabbed one in each hand. The 2 huge divine 9-dragon cauldrons were like 2 huge iron hammers in Lu Ming's hands. You old man, I'll kill you first. Lu Ming fixed his eyes on Shengguan Zhongyuan and strode forward. The cauldron was like a giant hammer, smashing toward Shengguan Zhongyuan. This old man was filled with killing intent the moment he appeared. He could not wait to kill Lu Ming. It was because of his instigation that the other spiritual god realm powerhouses took action one after another. Otherwise, there would not be so many spiritual god realm powerhouses besieging him. Let's attack together. Shengguan Zhongyuan's expression changed drastically. He let out a loud roar and the starlight began to boil. A huge crack seemed to have appeared in the sky, and a beam of starlight fell down onto Shengguan Zhongyuan's body. The light of the stars gathered and turned into countless starry swords, which were aimed at Lu Ming. At the same time, the other Tulavir experts also made their moves. All sorts of attacks were launched at Lu Ming. The 2 cauldrons danced in Lu Ming's hands. One of them was mainly used to block the attacks of the others, while the other one was used to smash Shengguan Zhongyuan. He only focused on one person and madly attacked. The bloodline of the 9 dragons let out a long roar. It seemed to have some kind of resonance with the divine 9-dragon cauldron, causing its power to increase greatly. Boom. As the huge cauldron smashed down, all of Shangguan Zhongyuan's attacks were rendered useless. The huge cauldron, which was as big as a mountain, smashed down on Shangguan Zhongyuan. A terrifying force emanated from the cauldron and locked onto Shangguan Zhongyuan, making it impossible for him to dodge. He could only take the attack head-on. His eyes revealed a trace of shock. The power of the stars burst out madly, and his fists were like two stars, blasting toward the huge cauldron. However, the moment it came into contact with the cauldron, the starlight was extinguished and Shangguan Zhongyuan's fists were instantly shattered. He screamed in pain as his body was sent flying. And NBSP boom boom boom. The other people's attacks were all blocked by Lu Ming's other divine nine-dragon cauldron, and it was blocked firmly. With the eruption of the nine-dragon bloodlines and the increase in the number of divine cauldrons, the power had also increased to a terrifying level. Thump. Boom. Lu Ming stepped on the void and continued to charge towards Shangguan Zhong. The massive cauldron blotted out the sky and pierced through the void before crashing down on Shangguan Zhongyuan. The terrifying aura it exuded caused Shangguan Zhongyuan's heart to tremble. No, no. Shangguan Zhongyuan roared. He could feel death approaching and this feeling was driving him crazy. He was here today to kill Lu Ming, not to court death. He roared and a ferocious tiger star appeared above his head. On the body of this ferocious tiger star, there were 3 golden meridian cycles. A third-ranked divine bloodline was considered weak in the spiritual god realm. Shangguan Zhongyuan transformed into the ferocious tiger star, hoping to block the attack. However, in the next moment he lost all hope. As the huge cauldron pressed down, the tiger star crumbled and returned to his human form. Under the immense pressure, his body started to crack. With a bang, his entire body exploded, and his body and spirit were destroyed. Countless people who witnessed this scene felt a chill run down their spines. A spiritual god realm powerhouse was killed just like that. He died just like that. He was smashed to death by Lu Ming's cauldron. This was too unbelievable. Especially the disciples of the Shangguan family who were at the scene. Their faces were pale and they were terrified. The other 12 spiritual god realm masters were also terrified. They quickly retreated and the 12 of them combined their auras. Shangguan Zhongyuan's outcome had shocked them. If Lu Ming could kill one person, he could kill a second. The Tulivir of them did not dare to split up. Buzz. And NBSP whoosh. At this time, whistling sounds could be heard in the sky. This time, at least 20 figures appeared in the sky, each of them exuding a terrifying aura. Spiritual God Realm. They were all spiritual God Realm experts. More spiritual God Realm experts had arrived. These experts descended and met up with the Tulivir experts from before. Their powerful auras enveloped Lu Ming. Clang. Clang. The 2 cauldrons trembled, and the 9 dragon bloodlines roared as they felt the terrifying pressure. If you want to fight, then fight to the end today. Lu Ming's eyes were filled with fighting spirit. He held a cauldron in each hand and faced the 30-odd spiritual god realm powerhouses fearlessly. You're young but you're quite ambitious. Unfortunately, you've used it in the wrong place. An extremely majestic voice suddenly resounded in the world. It wasn't the spiritual god realm powerhouses who spoke, it was someone else. No one knew where the voice came from, but it seemed to exist between heaven and earth. However, almost everyone's heart tightened when they heard this voice, as if they were facing a terrifying existence. Selah. The next moment, the space in the sky suddenly split open. A purple flame sword flew out and slashed at Lu Ming. Chapter 845. 845 Chapter 845 Supreme Martial Artist takes action. Lu Ming's pupils contracted sharply. He could feel a terrifying pressure from the flaming sword. This pressure was even stronger than the combined pressure of dozens of spiritual god realm powerhouses. It was a fatal threat to him. Lu Ming roared in anger. He mustered all his strength and swung 2 huge cauldrons at the flaming sword. Boom. A deafening boom was heard as the cauldron shook and the void shattered. Endless flames filled the air and the terrifyingly high temperature twisted the space before it cracked. The raging flames burned through the space and the scene was extremely shocking. Interesting. The majestic voice continued. Then a middle-aged man in a purple robe stepped out of the spatial crack. He stood in the void with a flame sword in his hand. His body was also covered in purple flames. A huge black hole appeared in the area where he was standing. There was nothing in the black hole, only an endless void. That was because the space had been burned through by the terrifying temperature of the middle-aged man's body. Paragon. That's a paragon. It's the patriarch of the Wang family. The supreme martial artist of the Wang family has arrived. At the scene, waves of exclamations and roars of disbelief could be heard. Some people's eyes were wide open and they shouted loudly because they were too shocked. Lu Ming had actually lured out a supreme being. A supreme being was someone who stood at the peak of the spiritual god realm. They had even surpassed the spiritual god realm and were half a step away from the martial royal realm. Each of such a figure was an overlord and an invincible figure. Without martial emperors, supreme martial artists were the strongest. In the entire Empyrean Heaven Divine Palace, there were only a handful of people like this. Even such a character had appeared. However, everyone's shock had only just begun. Selah. Selah. In the sky, the space cracked continuously, and figures stepped out of the cracks. There were 5 of them. Including the patriarch of the Wang clan, there were 6 of them in total. The 6 figures stood in 6 different directions, each of them exuding a terrifying and overbearing aura. There was one person who stood there like a peerless divine weapon. His sharp chi directly cut open the space. One of them was filled with fighting spirit like a god of war. Another one was rather refined. The 6 of them each had their own unique characteristics, but they had one thing in common: they were too powerful. Their auras were vast and mighty. Even from thousands of miles away one could feel the terrifying pressure. Heavens, heavens, those are the family heads of the 6 great ancient families. They are all supreme martial artists. All the supreme martial artists of the 6 great ancient families have come out. Someone shouted crazily. More people were silent. They were already numb to it. The 6 great masters had only appeared when they were facing an enemy Imperial Dao powerhouse. But now they had all appeared because of Lu Ming. Little guy, you're really something. You're the first person in history who could make the divine 9-dragon cauldron move because of you. Now come with me. His Majesty Force Emperor wants to see you. One of the middle-aged men spoke. Although his voice was calm, it was filled with dignity. Some people recognized him as the head of the Dongfang family. At the scene, countless people were shocked once again. Martial Emperor De had been alerted and sent 6 supreme martial artists just to see Lu Ming. Many people were having difficulty breathing. What had happened today was beyond their imagination. Perhaps it was because of the divine 9-dragon cauldron. Many people were guessing. As expected, he's here? He's so fast. Lu Ming's pupils constricted and his mind raced. Just as the 9-dragon bloodline rushed out and resonated with the divine 9-dragon cauldron, Lu Ming knew that the 9-dragon bloodline might be exposed. However, the other party's speed was faster than he had imagined. Others might think that it was because of the divine 9-dragon cauldron, but Lu Ming knew very well that Martial Emperor De was looking for him because he had found the 9-dragon bloodline. De wants to see me. Ask him to come here himself. Lu Ming shouted. Since he had come this far, fear was useless. He might as well face it directly. However, his words caused an earthquake. Countless people's eyes were wide open, and their hearts were about to jump out. Lu Ming actually dared to call Martial Emperor De by his name and even asked Martial Emperor De to come and see him. Lawless, this was lawless. A mere spiritual ocean-tier martial artist actually dared to call a martial emperor to see him. If a martial emperor wanted to see him, that would be his supreme glory, something countless people would wish for. They could not figure out where Lu Ming got his courage from. Lu Ming sneered. He knew very well that if he went to see Martial Emperor De, he would be in grave danger. Therefore he had nothing to fear. Evil creature, how dare you? You're just an ant, yet you dare to talk so big. You deserve to be killed. The patriarch of the Wang clan shouted coldly. He was extremely overbearing and filled with killing intent. This child is too arrogant and unruly. No matter how talented he is, if he has any achievements he will definitely not be controlled. It's better to just cripple him and hand him over to His Majesty. The Jiang family's patriarch also spoke coldly. His voice was like a divine weapon being polished, making people's hearts beat faster. Since you're so stubborn, then take him down. The master of the chaotic family also spoke. All right, we who will attack? The Jiang clan leader said. I'll do it. The patriarch of the Wang family said, his eyes burning with fire. The other 5 people nodded and took a step back. All of you retreat and protect the surroundings. The Wang clan master's gaze swept across the dozens of spiritual God realm powerhouses. Yes. Dozens of spiritual God realm masters retreated to various corners, ready to protect the mountains and rivers. Junior, since you're so stubborn, I'll take action personally. Boom. As he spoke, an earth-shattering aura erupted from his body. Purple flames spread out, burning through even more space. The flame sword in his hand grew rapidly and became 10,000 meters long. Retreat, retreat. The people who were watching the battle from afar were extremely frightened and retreated madly again. The supreme martial artist was about to make a move. If even a wisp of energy leaked out, it would probably be a disaster. It could kill ordinary martial artists countless times. They had no choice but to retreat. Buzz. The master of the Wang family swung the sword in his hand at Lu Ming. Wherever the sword passed, the space was turned into nothingness, revealing the terrifying dark void. Buzz. The divine nine-dragon cauldron shook and the nine-dragon bloodline roared. Lu Ming grabbed the two cauldrons and smashed them at the Wang family master. Boom. A terrifying clash resounded once again. The heavens and earth trembled, the cauldron shook, and endless energy scattered in all directions. Stop. Dozens of spiritual God realm masters shouted as their hands emitted light, blocking the terrifying force. Lu Ming could feel the endless heat surging towards him. Even with the protection of the two divine cauldrons, he still felt like he was going to be burned to ashes. He took a big step back and stepped into the void. The Wang family's supreme martial artist has the upper hand. Lu Ming is going to be defeated. Many people were shouting madly. Who could not die in a battle with a supreme martial artist? Chapter 846. 846 Fighting a Supreme Being. That's for sure. The head of the Wang family is a supreme martial artist. As long as a martial emperor doesn't show up, a supreme martial artist is invincible. Even if Lu Ming can control the two divine nine-dragon cauldrons, they're still external objects. How can he fight against a supreme martial artist? That's right. This brat can actually control the divine nine-dragon cauldron. After we capture him, we must ask him about the secret within. If the experts of my Empyrean Heaven Divine Palace, or even His Majesty the Martial Emperor, can control the divine nine-dragon cauldron, how powerful will it be? Wouldn't he be able to sweep through the Heavenly Corpse sect and the Heavenly Demon Valley? Indeed, this secret must be revealed. Many people in the surroundings said coldly, especially the disciples of the Wang family, Jianghu family, and other ancient families. Lu Ming, Fatty, Ruan Tingting, and a few others appeared in the crowd. They had finally rushed over, but when they saw the scene of Lu Ming fighting against the Supreme Being, they were shocked and worried. With Lu Ming's current cultivation base, even with the help of the Divine Cauldron, how could he fight against the Supreme Being? Old fart, you must call the old fart over. Fatty's throat kept letting out low growls. The Divine Nine-Dragon Cauldron is indeed wonderful. But today the Divine Nine-Dragon Cauldron can't protect you. The master of the Wang family strode forward with a 10,000-meter-long flaming sword in his hand. He slashed at Lu Ming again. Lu Ming could only use the two cauldrons to resist. Boom. An earth-shattering explosion sounded. Lu Ming's body shook violently and he retreated continuously. The power of a supreme being was too powerful. An ordinary spiritual god powerhouse was far inferior to it. The power of the divine cauldron is an external force after all. How much of its power can you unleash? With this, you want to contend with this seat? A mantis trying to stop a chariot, putting up a stubborn resistance. The leader of the Wang family was like a purple sun, floating in the sky. He gave off a burning aura, but his voice was cold. As he spoke, he stepped forward and raised his flame sword again. Roar. The bloodline of the nine dragons let out a long roar, and the blood chi in its body spread. It spat out another mouthful of blood, which was absorbed by the divine nine-dragon cauldron. Clang, clang. The two divine cauldrons trembled. In the next moment, the sky suddenly darkened. Everyone watched in shock as another cauldron descended and pressed down on the Wang clan master. The third cauldron. Lu Ming had actually summoned 3 cauldrons. Boom. The third cauldron flew toward the Wang family master and was sent flying by a single sword strike. The huge cauldron flew towards Lu Ming and trembled slightly. It emitted a radiance that seemed to resonate with the previous 2 cauldrons. The aura that the cauldron emitted seemed to be stronger. It was as if the more divine cauldrons there were, the more powerful they would be when they combined. Buzz. Buzz. The divine cauldron shook and left Lu Ming's palm. It started to spin around Lu Ming. The divine nine-dragon cauldron was wrapped around the first cauldron and was suspended above Lu Ming's head. The other two cauldrons were suspended and spinning around Lu Ming. Come on. Lu Ming waved his hand and a huge cauldron flew out, pressing down on the Wang family master. The Wang family master's eyes turned serious as he slashed out with his flame sword. Clang. The divine cauldron was knocked back, but Lu Ming waved his hand again. Another divine cauldron flew out and suppressed the Wang family master. Boom. Boom. The two divine nine-dragon cauldrons pressed toward the master of the Wang family. The master of the Wang family kept waving his sword. Shocking sword radiance was unleashed as he fought against the three cauldrons. However, he couldn't win for the time being. This scene was too shocking. Lu Ming could actually summon three divine nine-dragon cauldrons and fight to a draw with the master of the Wang family. This was too unbelievable, like a fantasy story. Moreover, many people thought of another point. There were 9 divine nine-dragon cauldrons in total. Since Lu Ming could summon 3, could he summon more? How terrifying would that power be? Buzz. As if to confirm everyone's guess, the heavens and earth trembled as yet another massive being descended from the sky. Its target was the Wang clan head. The master of the Wang family's pupils contracted. With a long roar, a wisp of purple flame floated above his head. On the purple flame there were 6 golden chakra. The Wang clan's clan head had a terrifying divine level rank 6 bloodline. The patriarch of the Wang family merged with his bloodline and turned into a ball of purple flame. The purple flame changed again and turned into a giant purple sword. When a supreme being used bloodline fusion, the power would reach a terrifying level. With a wave of his purple sword, he sent a divine cauldron flying. However, the other 2 cauldrons continued to press down. With the addition of the divine cauldron, the divine nine-dragon cauldron's power was further enhanced. It continued to suppress the Wang family master, forming a stalemate. This kid is demonic and can continuously summon divine cauldrons. I must suppress him quickly and not let him summon more divine cauldrons. The Jianghu family's master said in a sonorous voice as he stepped forward. He wanted to join forces with the master of the Wang family to suppress Lu Ming. To deal with one Lu Ming, 2 supreme beings had to join forces. It was like a dream. Buzz. The master of the Jianghu family made his move. With a wave of his arm, he destroyed everything, even splitting the heaven and earth. It was really split open. It was not just talk. Between heaven and earth, a hideous crack that was hundreds of miles long appeared. Buzz. An incomparably sharp glint slashed at Lu Ming. Lu Ming's expression changed. He had no choice but to control a huge cauldron and blast it at the Jianghu family's master. Clang. A huge cauldron was sent flying. The master of the Jianghu family did not stop. His gaze was as sharp as a divine sword. He stepped forward and closed in on Lu Ming. Roar. Dragon roars shook the heavens as the 9 dragons coughed out 3 mouthfuls of blood. The divine cauldron trembled and rumbled in the sky. At this moment, another huge cauldron came crashing down. The 5th divine nine-dragon cauldron descended. The 5th divine nine-dragon cauldron pressed toward the master of the Jianghu family. The Jianghu family's master let out a long roar. His aura was wild as he punched out with both fists, bombarding the 2 cauldrons and sending them flying. Lu Ming coughed out a mouthful of blood, his face pale. The other party was a supreme being after all. He had the divine cauldron to protect him, but he still felt immense pressure and coughed up large mouthfuls of blood. What are you all waiting for? Are you going to wait for him to summon more divine nine-dragon cauldrons? The cold voice of the Jianghu clan's patriarch rang out as he glanced at the other 4 clan heads. That's right, let's capture this brat first. The master of the chaotic family said. He took a step forward and his battle-intent sword. The remaining 3 people's eyes flickered. Then another person stepped out. This man was the head of the Kong family, one of the ancient families. They wanted to join forces and end the battle as soon as possible. Lu Ming was too monstrous and strange. They were really afraid that Lu Ming would summon the 9 divine nine-dragon cauldrons. If the 9 divine cauldrons were gathered, who knew what would happen? You're all supreme martial artists, yet you're actually teaming up to deal with a junior. Have you all lived your lives for nothing? Kill. At this moment, an angry roar reverberated through the sky and earth, reverberating for tens of thousands of miles. Many people were shocked. Who was it? He actually dared to scold the supreme martial artist like this. Did he not want to live anymore? Selah. The next moment, the space in the sky cracked open and a figure stepped out. This figure seemed to be in his 30s. He held a wine gourd in his hand and gulped down a few mouthfuls of wine. He stood in front of the masters of the Yuan and Kong families, his eyes full of disdain. Yin Kuangtu, it's Yin Kuangtu. So it's him, no wonder. Many people cried out in alarm. Chapter 847. 847 Chapter 847 Yin Kuangtu takes action. Yin Kuangtu was a well-known figure in Nine Dragons. He was the disciple of the Nine Sons Supreme and the grand disciple of Martial Emperor Di. Not only did he have a high status, but he was also extremely talented. In just a short 100 years, Yin Kuangtu had cultivated to the supremacy stage, and was not inferior to his master, the Nine Yang Supremacy. Moreover, Yin Kuangtu was arrogant, unruly and lawless. He showed no respect to anyone, not even to Martial Emperor Di. He had once almost destroyed a powerful force that was second only to the ancient family in a fit of anger, which shocked Nine Dragons. It was normal for such an existence to dare to berate the supreme martial artists of the ancient families. But what did he want to do by appearing here? The heads of the two families frowned. Yin Kuangtu, what are you doing? Move aside. The head of the Yuan family said coldly, a hint of fear in his eyes. What do you want? You've all lived for thousands of years, yet you're joining forces against a junior. How shameless. Let me tell you, Lu Ming is my little brother. If you want to touch him, you'll have to defeat me first. Yin Kuangtu took a few sips of wine, his eyes wild. Many people were shocked. Yin Kuangtu had addressed Lu Ming as little brother. So they knew each other. Yin Kuangtu actually knew Lu Ming. Big brother Yin. Yin Kuangtu's appearance surprised Lu Ming, and he could not help but call out. Brother Lu Ming, not bad. You can fight against the supreme being at the spiritual ocean tier. Impressive, impressive. You're much more impressive than me. Yin Kuangtu burst into laughter. Yin Kuangtu, are you not going to move out of the way today? The eyes of the master of the chaotic family were cold. Nonsense. Yin Kuangtu's reply was very simple. All right, Yin Kuangtu. I'll see how strong you are, the strongest genius after Jianghu. The master of the chaotic family's voice was cold, and a violent fighting will burst out. He took a step forward and threw a punch. This punch was extremely terrifying and the void shattered. Yin Kuangtu opened his mouth and sucked out a mouthful of wine from his wine gourd. At the same time he threw out a punch. This punch wasn't as earth-shattering as the one from the head of the chaotic family. It seemed very ordinary. However, the result of this clash of fists left everyone dumbstruck. The two fists met and a terrifying explosion rang out in the air. A figure staggered backwards. This figure was actually the clan head of the Yuan clan. The clan leader of the Yuan clan was forced to retreat by a single punch from Yin Kuangtu. How was this possible? They were both supreme martial artists, but how could Yin Kuangtu be so strong? Kill? The master of the Yuan family roared. His battle-intent sword. A saber appeared in his hand and he charged at Yin Kuangtu. Buzz. A shocking sword light burst out from Yin Kuangtu's hand. The sword light and the saber light collided. The saber light was shattered, but the sword light continued to slash down. How is that possible? The head of the chaotic family shouted in disbelief. He had to continuously slash out with his saber to block Yin Kuangtu's sword radiance. Like master, like disciple. Jianghu has taken in a good disciple. Yin Kuangtu, you may be strong in combat, but you can't protect Lu Ming. The master of the Kong family stepped forward and stood next to the master of the Yuan family. Why can't I? Yin Kuangtu said. That's because His Majesty, the Martial Emperor, has specifically requested for Lu Ming. We're just following orders to bring Lu Ming to His Majesty. The master of the chaotic clan said. What does His Majesty want Lu Ming for? Yin Kuangtu said with a frown. This we don't know. So, it's better for you to move away. Otherwise, if you make His Majesty unhappy, none of yous can bear the responsibility. The head of the Yuan family sneered. Yin Kuangtu's brows furrowed even more. He turned to Lu Ming and said, Brother Lu Ming, do you know why His Majesty the Martial Emperor is looking for you? Could it be because of the Divine Cauldron? Lu Ming controlled the Divine Nine-Dragon Cauldron and fought the masters of the Jiang and Wang families. The battle was intense. he muttered to himself for a moment before saying, You came to me because you wanted my bloodline and wanted to take it for your own use." Lu Ming's voice was calm, but it was like a storm, stirring up thousands of waves. "What? What did Lu Ming say? How dare you call His Majesty Force Emperor in this way and slander His Majesty Force Emperor? Evil creature, what an evil creature. Such audacity, who does he think he is? He dares to say that His Majesty Force Emperor wants his bloodline, but it's just a second-class divine bloodline. How could His Majesty Force Emperor take a fancy to it? Slander. Nonsense. This person should be cut into pieces as a warning to the others." Countless people roared and looked at Lu Ming with cold eyes. "Evil creature, how dare you slander His Majesty? You're courting death." The patriarch of the Wang clan roared as he fought with all his might. "Yan Kuangtu, you've seen this kid's heart. He's simply lawless. We can't keep him here. Why aren't you moving?" The Wan family said. "No. Unless the Grandmaster comes and explains everything, I, Yan Kuangtu, will not let you take Lu Ming away." Yan Kuangtu did not move. Yan Kuangtu's words stunned many people. Arrogant, he was really arrogant. He actually wanted Martial Emperor De to explain it in person. He was too arrogant. The crowd finally understood why Yan Kuangtu and Lu Ming would address each other as brothers. The two of them were the same kind of people. They were equally lawless, arrogant, and unruly. "Yan Kuangtu, how dare you? Since that's the case, we'll have to take you down first. Everyone, if we don't join forces now, when will we?" The master of the Jiang family looked at the last two people. "That's the only way." The master of the Dongfang family sighed and stepped forward. "Brother Nangong, you go and help Brother Jiang. Brother Wang, take down Lu Ming. Leave Yan Kuangtu to us." "All right." The head of the Nangong family stepped forward and walked toward Lu Ming. Meanwhile, Master Dongfang, Master Luan, and Master Kong's auras erupted and enveloped Yan Kuangtu. The supreme martial artists of the 6 great ancient families were about to join forces. "Get lost." Yan Kuangtu shouted coldly as his sword chi exploded. At this moment, his sword chi was filled with blazing flames. The temperature of the flames seemed to be even higher than that of the patriarch of the Wang family. At the same time, the supremes of the Luan clan, Dongfang clan, Kong clan, and the other 3 clans also made their moves. Violent energy burst out and blasted toward Yan Kuangtu, trying to restrain him. "3 old fogies, what can you do to me?" Yan Kuangtu let out a long cry as golden flames suddenly burst out of his body. The terrifying temperature spread out for tens of thousands of miles. The golden flame burst out with the sword chi. Golden Crow's fire. The 3 supreme martial artists of the Luan family looked grave as their 3 attacks collided with Yan Kuangtu's sword chi. After the explosion, Yan Kuangtu did not retreat a single step. This was extremely shocking. Yan Kuangtu was actually able to fight against 3 supreme martial artists without even retreating a single step. This was unbelievable. They were both supreme martial artists, but why was Yan Kuangtu so powerful? One must know that those who could reach the Supreme Being realm were all rare geniuses, and they were all invincible existences among their peers. Otherwise, how could they have reached the Supreme Being realm? But now, Yan Kuangtu's combat strength was even stronger and more terrifying. On the other side, the head of the Nangong family burst out and attacked Lu Ming. However, at this moment, the sky trembled and another cauldron descended, crashing toward the head of the Nangong family. The 6th Divine Cauldron. Chapter 848. 848 Gathering of the 9 Cauldrons in an attempt to slaughter a supreme. Out of the 6 divine cauldrons, 1 was for protection while the other 5 were for attack. Lu Ming used the 6 divine 9-dragon cauldrons to fight against the 3 supreme martial artists. Yan Kuangtu had blocked 3 great masters by himself. The 6 ancient families and the 6 supreme martial artists were all blocked. This scene had left countless people in the sky dumbfounded. Everything that had happened today was simply unbelievable. Buzz. The master of the Jiang family was like a divine weapon. He knocked away 2 divine cauldrons in a row and performed the bloodline fusion. After that, the head of the Nangong family and the head of the Wang family, the supreme martial artists of the 3 ancient families, all used their bloodline fusion to take Lu Ming down in one go. Boom, boom, boom. The entire sky was pierced through. The 3 great supremes had joined forces and unleashed their most powerful attack. It was too terrifying. Few people below the martial emperor realm could withstand it. The divine 9-dragon cauldron kept shaking, and the connection between them seemed to be on the verge of being broken. The pressure Lu Ming felt was getting stronger and stronger. His bones cracked and fine beads of blood seeped out of his skin. He can't hold on much longer. The master of the Wang family transformed into a huge purple flame sword. The flames were blazing and his heavenly fire burst out, spreading towards Lu Ming. The bloodline of the 9 dragons roared again and again, and the divine 9-dragon cauldron shook. However, it was still difficult to withstand the attacks of the 3 supreme martial artists. Buzz. The master of the Jiang family broke through the attack of one of the divine cauldrons and charged toward Lu Ming. The first divine cauldron above Lu Ming's head trembled and emitted a brilliant light that blasted toward the Jiang family's master. Thump. A violent boom was heard. Lu Ming's body trembled violently. Together with the first divine cauldron, he was sent flying and blood spurted from his mouth. Brother Lu Ming. Yan Kuangtu was shocked. He wanted to rush out to save Lu Ming. Yan Kuangtu, do you really think the 3 of us are just for show? Kill. Die. The master of the Wan family roared. He used the fusion of his bloodlines and turned into an invincible god of war, charging toward Yan Kuangtu. At the same time, the head of the Kong family and the head of the Dongfang family also used their bloodline fusion. The bloodlines of the 3 great family heads were all at the 6th level of the divine level. The 3 of them joined forces and unleashed a powerful attack. No matter how strong Yan Kuangtu was, he didn't dare to be careless in the face of 3 great supremes. He let out a long cry, and a huge golden divine bird appeared. This divine bird was shaped like a crow, and its entire body was golden in color. It was suffused with golden flames, and the temperature of these golden flames was even more terrifying than the Wang family's purple heavenly fire. This divine bird had 3 legs and 8 dazzling golden chakras. Divine level rank 8 bloodline, 3-legged golden crow. According to the legends, the sun was formed by the 3-legged golden crow. It was an extremely terrifying divine beast. Yan Kuangtu's bloodline was the 3-legged golden crow, and it was a level 8 divine level expert. He was 2 levels higher than the family head of the ancient family clan. It was simply terrifying. No wonder his combat power was so strong. Yan Kuangtu used his bloodline fusion and turned into a 3-legged golden crow. He fought with the 3 sovereigns and the sky and earth shook. Endless power formed a terrifying wind that spread in all directions. Fortunately, more spiritual God realm experts had appeared and spread out to resist the spreading force. Otherwise, with so many supreme martial artists attacking, everything within a radius of several million li would have been blown up. A supreme martial artist was too powerful. He could destroy a country with a flip of his hand. An empire like the Blazing Sun Empire could be destroyed by a supreme martial artist with a single palm. He was unimaginably powerful. Yan Kuangtu was fighting against 3 great supremes. It was difficult to determine the victor at the moment, so he could not withdraw to save Lu Ming. For a moment, Lu Ming was completely suppressed and the situation was precarious. 6 divine cauldrons is his limit. He can't summon any more. The voice of the Wang clan leader rang out, and his attacks became even more terrifying. This incident had completely exceeded their expectations. They had never expected that Lu Ming would be able to lift the divine 9-dragon cauldron and summon 6 of them. This was unprecedented in history. In the end, even they had no choice but to join forces to deal with Lu Ming. No matter what the outcome was today, it would be a terrible blow to the reputation of the supreme martial artists. All of this was because of Lu Ming. As the master of the Wang family who was the first to attack, he hated Lu Ming even more. Little bastard, don't put up any pointless resistance. Since His Majesty has spoken, your fate has already been decided. The patriarch of the Wang clan continued to speak, his killing intent cold. Don't make it sound so grand. Even if the sky wants to suppress me, I will break it, not to mention DE. 9-dragon cauldron, fight with me. Lu Ming roared like a dragon. The body of the 9 dragons twisted and blood mist filled the air. Bang. All of a sudden, one of the golden chakras on the body of the 9-dragon bloodline exploded with a bang. The chakra exploded, and the bloodline of the 9 dragons roared as if it was in extreme pain. Lu Ming growled as well. His eyes were bloodshot. He felt as if his soul was about to split apart. It was too painful. But his gaze was still determined and determined. The chakra exploded and turned into a wisp of golden radiance, which seeped into the divine 9-dragon cauldron. Clang! The divine 9-dragon cauldron shook, and the dragon-shaped carvings on the cauldron shone brightly. The 6 divine 9-dragon cauldrons roared. Boom. The sky trembled and the void collapsed. Another behemoth flew over and pressed down on the Wang clan leader. The 7th divine 9-dragon cauldron. The bloodline of the 9 dragons exploded a chakra and summoned the 7th divine 9-dragon cauldron. However, this was not the end. The cauldron. Lu Ming howled, his voice shaking the heavens. The sky trembled, and then another divine cauldron descended. The 8th statue. Impossible. The patriarch of the Wang clan exclaimed in disbelief. Boom. The sky shook again as the patriarch of the Wang family shouted. Another divine 9-dragon cauldron descended. The 9 divine 9-dragon cauldrons had all descended. When the 9 divine 9-dragon cauldrons gathered, they seemed to have produced a strong resonance. All of them were shining brightly and the roars of dragons shook the sky. The 9 cauldrons were centered around the one above Lu Ming's head. The other cauldrons surrounded him, and an unbelievably powerful aura spread out. The 9 cauldrons gather, suppress the heavens. A voice seemed to come out of the divine cauldron. Suppress. Lu Ming waved his hand and the 8 cauldrons around him pressed down. Bang, bang, bang. With 3 loud bangs, the master of the Wang family and the other 2 supreme martial artists were sent flying. Impossible? The master of the Wang family shouted in disbelief. I'll kill you today. I'll slaughter the supreme martial artist. Lu Ming's cold voice rang out. With a wave of his hand, at least 6 of the 8 divine cauldrons flew towards the Wang family. The other 2 defended the other 2 supreme beings. Boom, boom. The 6 divine cauldrons continued to attack the Wang family. The purple sword that the patriarch had transformed into exploded with a shocking sword chi as he used all his strength to block the attack. However, every time he blocked, he would be sent flying and the sword would shake continuously. After the 6th time, the flames on the purple sword's body were much weaker, as if it had been severely injured. Lu Ming waved his hand again and the 6 cauldrons continued to press down. Evil creature. Don't you dare. The Jiang family's master shouted in anger and joined forces with the Nangong family's master to attack Lu Ming. However, Lu Ming controlled the 2 cauldrons and blocked their attacks. Chapter 849. 849 Martial Emperor Di takes action. With the 9 cauldrons gathered, the power of each of them increased greatly. 2 cauldrons were enough to block 2 supreme beings. The other 6 continued to suppress the Wang clan master. Boom, boom, boom. The 6 divine cauldrons smashed against the giant purple sword like they were forging iron. The giant purple sword trembled violently, and the flames became weaker and weaker. After the 6 divine cauldrons took turns to smash the sword, the giant purple sword shrank rapidly and returned to the appearance of the Wang family master. However, at this moment the Wang family was in a terrible state. Their body fortifications were in tatters, and there were many wounds on their bodies. Blood was flowing out from their mouths. Tragic, it was too tragic. A supreme martial artist of a generation had been beaten to such a state. This made countless people rub their eyes, thinking that they were seeing things. Ah! The patriarch of the Wang family was about to go crazy. He roared repeatedly, unable to accept all this. He was the head of an ancient family, a supreme figure who had dominated the Eastern Barren territory. However, he had been beaten up by a young man in his 20s. No matter what method this junior used, he had lost a lot of face and would become a laughingstock. If this were to spread to other forces, they would definitely treat it as a joke. At the thought of that, he was filled with hatred and could not wait to skin Lu Ming alive. What are you screaming for? It seems that the repair is not enough, then let's continue. Lu Ming said coldly. He controlled the divine 9-dragon cauldron and continued to suppress it. The master of the Wang family was shocked and quickly retreated. Unfortunately, the divine 9-dragon cauldron had already locked onto him. It directly pierced through the void and blasted toward him. The master of the Wang clan could only do his best to resist. Boom. The first divine cauldron had caused the patriarch of the Wang family to spit out a large mouthful of blood. Following that, the second divine cauldron caused the head of the Wang family's hair to be disheveled and one of his arms to be shattered. However, a supreme being's vitality was extremely terrifying. Even if his arm was severed, it would quickly regrow and heal. However, the third divine cauldron continued to smash down. Ah, everyone save me. The master of the Wang clan was finally afraid. and he began to ask the other supreme martial artists for help. A supreme martial artist of his generation was actually beaten to the point where he could only cry for help. This was also rare. The other 5 supreme martial artists all wanted to help. Unfortunately, how could his wish be fulfilled? Haha, brother Lu Ming, good job. Yan Kuangta laughed. The 3-legged golden crow flew around and blocked the 3 supreme martial artists. As for the other 2 supreme martial artists, they were blocked by the 2 divine 9-dragon cauldrons and could not break through the obstruction at all. Boom. The 3rd divine cauldron smashed half of the Wang clan's patriarch's body, and the 4th divine cauldron continued to press down. From all directions, countless people looked at this scene in shock, including the spiritual god realm powerhouses. Ruthless, too ruthless and too unbelievable. Was Lu Ming really planning to kill a supreme martial artist? Was the patriarch of the Wang clan really going to fall here today? Master! Someone from the Wang family shouted in fear. Haha, good. In the crowd, Fatty laughed loudly, drawing the angry gazes of the crowd. Wang Haoxian's body trembled. This scene had an even greater impact on her. The patriarch of the Wang family was the strongest combat force in the Wang family. Her patriarch was a supreme existence in the Wang family. However, such an existence could not even keep his life in front of Lu Ming. How did this happen? In the sea below ancient garden, Xie Jin stared at this scene in a daze. His eyes almost exploded. He had never dreamed that Lu Ming would actually summon the 9 divine cauldrons in a fit of anger for the sake of a beauty and attempt to kill a supreme martial artist. It was too shocking and terrifying. The cauldron was about to fall, and the patriarch of the Wang family couldn't resist it in his current state. He might die on the spot. Enough. At this moment, a voice came from the sky. This voice sounded like it came from the heavens and was filled with endless majesty. However, when they heard this voice, countless people's hearts trembled. It was as if they were facing the heavens and the universe and they wanted to kneel. Then countless people saw thousands of miles-long cracks appear in the sky. A huge arm stretched out from the crack. It was as big as a mountain, like the palm of the heavens. Above it, intent realm curled up and a terrifying aura spread out. At this moment, countless people started to tremble. Even the paragons were shaken. The huge palm pressed down on Lu Ming, and an endless pressure enveloped him. Lu Ming's body almost exploded. The divine 9-dragon cauldron floating above his head shook violently. 9 cauldrons, protect me. In the face of such a mighty force, he couldn't care less about killing the Wang family master. He controlled the 9 cauldrons to float around him. Imperial power. This is the aura of an imperial power expert. Martial Emperor De. Such a sentence appeared in Lu Ming's mind. Lu Ming had once felt the aura of an emperor from Lianzang. Although Lianzang was only a wisp of his soul, his aura was still like the might of the heavens, high and mighty, dominating the world. This palm was very similar to Lianzang's, but it was many times larger. In 9 Dragons, Martial Emperor De was the only sovereign realm expert. Grand Master. Yan Kuangtu's eyes were filled with shock. Your Majesty, Force Emperor. The 6 supreme beings and many spiritual god realm experts were greatly shocked. Martial Emperor De had actually taken action personally. How could this be? How did this happen? Old man, come quickly. The fat man shouted. However, the people around him didn't pay any attention to him. Their eyes were all fixed on the sky. Boom, boom, boom. As the giant palm pressed down, the space crumbled and the intent realm curled up like the hand of God. A terrifying pressure passed through the void and pressed down on Lu Ming's body. Lu Ming's body trembled continuously as if it was about to collapse at any moment. The 9 divine 9-dragon cauldrons were suspended in the air, but they were shaking non-stop. Lu Ming felt that he could not control them. The pressure he was facing was too strong. So what if you're a martial emperor? Break. A crazed look appeared in Lu Ming's eyes. He raised his head and roared. The 9 dragon bloodlines roared. The only remaining golden chakra exploded with a loud bang, turned into a golden light, and entered the divine 9-dragon cauldron. Lu Ming coughed out a large mouthful of blood. He was in so much pain that he felt like his body was about to split apart, but his eyes were still fixed on the ceiling. Clang clang. The 9 divine cauldrons trembled and their auras surged. Under everyone's shocked eyes, the 9 divine cauldrons actually merged into one, erupting with a terrifying power that shot into the sky and rushed toward the imperial palm. The next moment, the cauldron and the palm collided. But strangely, there was no movement or energy. The cauldron and the palm were motionless in the air, as if they were in a stalemate. The heavens? This was the only word in countless people's hearts. Lu Ming controlled the divine nine-dragon cauldron and actually blocked a blow from Martial Emperor Di. This scene was unbelievable. Countless people felt their hearts in their throats and were about to stop beating. Yen Kuangtu and the other supreme martial artists had stopped fighting. At this moment they raised their heads and looked at the sky. Chapter 850. 850. The Supreme Master of the Nine Suns appears. At this moment the entire world was silent. Even his breathing and heartbeat seemed to have stopped. Awakening the bloodline of the nine dragons with a drop of the nine dragons' blood essence is indeed amazing. It can actually exert a trace of the power of the divine nine-dragon cauldron to block my palm. At this time the voice in the sky, an extremely majestic voice, rang out again. However, a mere spiritual ocean-tier cultivator, no matter how profound his bloodline is, how much of the divine nine-dragon cauldron's power can he unleash? How can you really stop me? Break. As the last word break was uttered, the palm shook slightly, and a palm force several times stronger than before suddenly exploded. Boom. This time the entire world seemed to be shaking. The sky and the earth within hundreds of thousands of miles seemed to be shaking. The divine nine-dragon cauldron was the first to bear the brunt, and it let out a violent roar. The bloodline of the nine dragons wrapped around the divine nine-dragon cauldron wailed and turned into a ray of blood-red light, rushing into the space between Lu Ming's eyebrows. Kacha. Lu Ming's body trembled violently as if it was about to explode. At that moment, lightning appeared between Lu Ming's brows. The lightning cauldron coursed through Lu Ming's body to prevent him from being crushed to pieces. It was the lightning cauldron in his sea of consciousness. Thump. In the sky, the divine nine-dragon cauldron trembled. Then it split into 9 and turned back into 9 lightning cauldrons. At this time, without the bloodline of the 9 dragons and under the powerful and terrifying attack, the connection between the 9 divine cauldrons seemed to have disappeared. They trembled and then broke through the sky, flying in all directions, returning to the heads of the 9 dragon veins. The divine 9 dragon cauldron flew away, and the huge palm continued to smash down. Lu Ming could not resist at all. He spat out large mouthfuls of blood, as if he was about to be turned into ashes by this palm. Clang. At that moment, Lu Ming's glabella glowed and a thunder cauldron rushed out automatically. It grew to the size of a mountain and was filled with shocking lightning. What? Why is there another cauldron? Countless people were dumbfounded and in disbelief. There are many secret treasures, but how can they stop me? He pressed his palm down on the thunder cauldron. The thunder cauldron shook and the lightning spread in all directions. In the end, it could not resist the palm force and was sent back into Lu Ming's forehead. Lu Ming's body trembled violently as if he had been hit by an archaic divine mountain. His body fell like a cannonball. Boom, boom, boom. Martial Emperor Di's palm print didn't stop and continued to fall. However, at this moment, Lu Ming's falling body suddenly emitted golden rays of light. When the golden rays of light spread, Lu Ming's body stopped falling. Buzz. Between Lu Ming's eyebrows, a dazzling light shone. A huge palace floated out and rushed upwards. Countless people almost bit off their tongues. There were too many treasures in Lu Ming's body. They flew out one after another and each one of them was extremely terrifying. Was he still human? There's someone under the palace. Someone exclaimed. The palace that flew out of Lu Ming's glabella grew rapidly. At the bottom of the palace there was a towering figure. Senior Jianghu. Lu Ming was greatly shocked. The palace was the supreme shrine, and the figure below it was the Nine Suns Supreme. Master. When this figure appeared, Yen Kuangtu cried out in disbelief. At the same time, the 6 great supremes and many spiritual god realm powerhouses also widened their eyes in disbelief. The 9 Suns destroys worlds. 9 Suns Supreme Master's voice rang out, and 9 suns suddenly appeared around the supreme shrine. The 9 suns were like real suns in the sky, emitting endless light. The 9 suns, together with the supreme shrine, collided with the huge palm print. An earth-shattering boom resounded. The space in that area was instantly twisted into pieces, revealing a dark void that swallowed the terrifying energy. Otherwise, the explosion of energy would have turned everything within hundreds of thousands of miles into ashes. Clang. The supreme shrine trembled violently as it fell while being supported by a tall figure. The huge palm seemed to have exhausted its energy and collapsed after blocking the attacks one after another. As the light dissipated, the 9 suns around the supreme shrine disappeared, and the figure of the 9 Sun Supreme Master was clearly revealed. Master! Yan Kuangtu roared. His body trembled in excitement. Xia Jiang, is it really you? Didn't you die? The Jiang family's master shouted as well. The other supreme martial artists and other powerhouses also looked at 9 Sun's supreme martial artist in disbelief. Many of the younger generation also widened their eyes in shock and disbelief. Who didn't know the name Supreme 9 Suns? The 9 Yang bloodline was unparalleled in the world. When he was alive, he was the god of war of the Empyrean Heaven Divine Palace. His combat strength was unparalleled and he was known as the #1 sovereign in the Eastern Barren Territory. Even the sovereign path cultivators did not dare to underestimate him. Such a magnificent figure had died more than 50 years ago, which shocked countless people and made it hard to believe. However, it was announced by Martial Emperor Di himself, so no one doubted it. But now, the 9 Sun Supreme had reappeared and helped Lu Ming fight against Martial Emperor Di. What was going on? Fanatic, I haven't seen you for decades and you've already grown to this stage. You're indeed worthy of being my disciple. The 9 Sun Supreme Master looked at Yan Kuangtu with satisfaction and laughed. Master, what happened back then? Why do you only have a wisp of your soul left? Where is your real body? Who did this to you? Yan Kuangtu was so excited that he asked a few questions in a row. The others were also very curious. Back then, Martial Emperor Di only announced the death of 9 Sun Supreme, but he did not say much about the specific situation. This was a question that many people had been wondering for decades. The Supreme of the 9 Suns had unparalleled combat power. Who could kill him? Even an emperor would find it difficult to kill the 9 Suns Supreme. Jiang, now that you only have a wisp of your soul left, do you still want to betray me? At this time, a voice full of pressure came from the huge spatial crack in the sky. As the voice fell, a middle-aged man stepped out of the spatial crack. The middle-aged man was tall. He stood in the void with his hands behind his back. An unparalleled majesty spread out and pressed down on millions of miles. When countless people saw this figure, they felt as if they were facing the universe. Deep respect rose in their hearts and they wanted to kneel down. That was the pressure of the imperial Tao ruling the world. Your Majesty, Force Emperor. At this moment, countless people from all directions bowed with deep admiration and respect in their eyes. Even Ruan Tingting, Wang Haoxian and the others were the same. Only Fatty stood up straight and did not move. Martial Emperor Di glanced around casually and nodded slightly. Betray? Haha, Di, don't you think it's funny to say this? Supreme Master Jiang burst into laughter. Countless people were shocked. Supreme 9 Suns called Martial Emperor Di by his name. It didn't seem like he was talking to his master at all. Why did he do this? But no one made a sound. If someone else had called Martial Emperor Di by his name, someone would have jumped out and scolded him. However, it was 9 Suns Supreme who had spoken. He was also a supreme figure, so everyone chose to keep their mouths shut. The eyes of the 6 masters of the ancient families flickered, but they didn't make a move. Among them, the master of the Wang family had already recovered. At this moment, his eyes were the most sinister as he swept his gaze over Lu Ming. Chapter 851. 851 Jiang and Di. At this moment, Lu Ming was in a very bad state. He was in excruciating pain all over his body and had a splitting headache. It was as if his soul was about to be torn apart. His vision turned black and he seemed to be about to fall unconscious at any time. Hold on. Lu Ming roared in his heart. Fanatic, didn't you want to know who killed me? It's this famous martial emperor in front of you, your grandmaster. The Supreme Master of 9 Suns said as he looked at Yan Kuangtu. His words were like divine thunder from the 9 heavens and an endless storm that swept across the entire area. Countless people widened their eyes and looked at 9 Suns Supreme in shock. They then looked at Martial Emperor Di with disbelief. The 9 Suns Supreme had been killed by Martial Emperor Di, and only a wisp of his soul remained. What was going on? Supreme 9 Suns was the god of war of the Empyrean Heaven Divine Palace, the most powerful man in the Eastern Barren Territory. He had fought for the Empyrean Heaven Divine Palace and made great achievements. Why did Martial Emperor De want to kill Supreme Nine Sons? Yan Kuangtu's eyes widened in disbelief. Why? Because he needs my bloodline. By killing me he can take away my bloodline and help him cultivate a technique. The voice of the Nine Sons Supreme Master rang out, and the people were even more shocked. The other 6 supreme martial artists' eyes flickered as they fell into deep thought. Martial Emperor De had his hands behind his back and his face was calm. Jianghu, back then you colluded with the Corpse Emperor and tried to kill me. That's why I attacked you. It seems like you still hold a grudge and want to slander me. At this moment, Martial Emperor De's voice rang out again, which made people even more shocked. Back then, it was Nine Sons Supreme who colluded with Corpse Emperor to harm Martial Emperor Dai, and that was why Martial Emperor Dai attacked Nine Sons Supreme. There was actually such an inside story? Ha ha ha. The Nine Sons Supreme Master suddenly laughed out loud and said, De, as an Imperial Path expert, it's fine if you plot against me from behind, but you've also fallen into black and white. Xia Jiang was really blind back then. How could I have acknowledged you as my master? How dare you, Xia Jiang? How dare you try to harm His Majesty, the Force Emperor? You deserve to die. Now that you have come back, I'll suppress you and make sure you are beyond redemption. The patriarch of the Jiang family shouted, his eyes cold. The rest of the people also looked at Nine Sons Supreme with hostility. Hee hee. Supreme Master Jiang sneered and did not explain further. He knew that it was useless to explain. This was all because of his strength. Martial Emperor De was a sovereign path expert. He was high and mighty and ruled the Empyrean Heaven Divine Palace. How powerful was he? Today, even if the Nine Sons Supreme presented conclusive evidence to prove that he had been killed by Martial Emperor De in order to deprive him of the Nine Sons bloodline, the others would not betray Martial Emperor De and would still stand firmly on his side. This was because of strength. No one would betray Martial Emperor De for a half-dead man. That would be stupid. If they left the Empyrean Heaven Divine Palace, where would they find such a good cultivation environment and resources? Who would be able to protect them? What's more, Martial Emperor De had already given a reason, which was that Jiang had colluded with the Corpse Emperor of the Sky Corpse sect and tried to kill him, which was why he had been killed. Regardless of whether this reason was true or false, it was enough. The Supreme Master of the Nine Sons was well aware of this, so he did not say or explain any further. Without strength, what was the use of saying more? Jiang, you're only left with a wisp of your soul. Do you still want to fight with your master? Surrender. Martial Emperor De said. Nine Sons Supreme Master smiled but didn't reply. Instead, he looked at Yan Kuangtu and said, Fanatic, do you believe in me or De? I believe in you, Master. Yan Kuangtu's eyes shone with determination. Good, haha, I didn't misjudge you. Next, I will block De. You take Lu Ming out. Remember, you must take Lu Ming out. Supreme Nine Sons said. Master, let's go together. Yan Kuangtu shouted. Let's go. Supreme Master Jiang roared. His body glowed with dazzling light, and 9 blazing suns appeared again. A pair of rascals with wild ambitions. Today none of you can leave. Martial Emperor De shouted coldly, and a supreme aura burst out of his body, shaking the heaven and earth. He stretched out a hand and pressed down, and a huge hand formed, grabbing toward Nine Sons Supreme and Yan Kuangtu. Bring Lu Ming away. The Nine Sons Paragon shouted, and the light on his body became even brighter. This was the burning of his soul power. The supreme shrine trembled, and 9 suns appeared, blasting toward the huge hand that was pressing down. Yan Kuangtu let out a long howl and transformed into a 3-legged golden crow. He wrapped Lu Ming with a burst of vital essence and charged out. However, Martial Emperor De was too terrifying. He covered the sky with his palm and the space was suppressed. It exploded in all directions. The sky and the earth seemed to be covered by the palm. Boom. The 9 Sons Supreme, the Supreme Divine Palace, and the giant palm of Martial Emperor De clashed violently. The world shook and the space was penetrated. It was like the end of the world. The people in the area kept retreating, and within tens of thousands of miles, only the figures of the 6 great sovereigns could be seen. Yan Kuangtu let out a long cry and spat out a golden flame sword. However, it was still blocked. A huge palm print suddenly appeared in front of him and collided with the golden flame. Yan Kuangtu's body trembled and he was forced to retreat. Even though Lu Ming was under Yan Kuangtu's protection, he was still affected by the aftershock. The pain in his body intensified and his vision turned black. Break! The 9 suns paragon bellowed, and the light of the 9 suns in the sky became even brighter, completely covering the real sun in the sky. The light on the 9 suns paragon's body was as bright as flames. Master! Yan Kuangtu roared. If the 9 suns supreme burned his soul like this, he might not even be able to keep this wisp of soul. Evil disciple, suppress. Martial Emperor Di's eyes became even colder. He waved his palm and an even more terrifying palm print smashed down. Boom. The Supreme Divine Hall and the palm print collided, causing a violent tremor. With a final bang, a corner of the Supreme Divine Hall exploded, sending gravel flying. The body of the 9 Suns Supreme Master trembled violently. The golden crow let out a long screech and soared into the sky. It slapped down in the air and the divine fire of the golden crow turned into a bright sword radiance, clashing with the palm print. The sword light was destroyed and the golden crow trembled and fell. At this moment, Lu Ming felt that the world was getting darker and darker. He looked at the battle in the sky and then at the ocean waves' ancient garden. Then, his vision turned black and he fell into endless darkness. His injuries were too serious. The explosion of 2 golden chakras from the 9 dragon bloodline had seriously injured him as well as himself. In addition, he had controlled the divine 9 dragon cauldron to fight against the Supremes and even exchanged a blow with Martial Emperor Di. His injuries were also extremely serious. Finally, he could not hold on any longer and passed out. Little Qing, I'm still too weak. I can't take you with me. This was Lu Ming's last thought before he fainted. Lu Ming fell into a coma, but the battle became more intense. Let's charge. Let's go. 9 Suns Paragon shouted. Together with Yan Kuangtu they carried Lu Ming and charged out. Chapter 852. 852 Another Martial Emperor. However, Martial Emperor Di was so powerful that he had completely blocked their way. No matter how hard they tried, it was useless. Boom. Boom. The Supreme Divine Palace and the palm prints of De and Martial Emperor collided. They kept shaking and more places exploded. Finally, the entire Supreme Divine Palace cracked. Ah, you old fart, why aren't you here yet? Did you do it on purpose? In the crowd, Fatty roared repeatedly. In the sky, Supreme 9 Suns and Yan Kuangtu had joined forces and fought with Martial Emperor De for more than a dozen moves. The spectators, including the 6 Supreme Martial Artists, were all shocked. 9 Suns Supreme and Yan Kuangtu were too powerful and abnormal. They could actually fight Martial Emperor De to this extent. It was simply terrifying. They are destined to be defeated today. The 9 Suns burning their souls can temporarily unleash their full power, but they won't last long. The patriarch of the Jianghu family coldly said. It's unwise to fight a martial emperor before becoming one. No matter how strong he is, he will still be defeated. Since ancient times, no one in the Supreme Realm has been able to defeat a martial emperor. It's impossible to even contend with him. The head of the chaotic family also said. Bang! Bang! The Supreme Shrine trembled more and more violently as it continued to collapse and explode. The remnant soul of the 9 Suns Supreme started to shake, as if it would dissipate at any moment. Master! Yan Kuangtu gritted his teeth and protected Lu Ming. He charged forward with all his might, but his body trembled and blood flowed out of the golden crow's mouth. The situation was getting worse. Damn it, you old fart. You must have done it on purpose. I don't care anymore. I'll risk it. The fat man cursed. Finally, he gritted his teeth and rushed out of the crowd, madly rushing toward the battlefield of Martial Emperor De and 9 Suns Supreme. Fatty, what are you doing? Wan Tingting cried out in shock. Beside him, the others also looked at Fatty as if he was crazy. This Fatty actually dared to rush into the battlefield of Supreme Martial Artists and Martial Emperors. This was a blatant death wish. As long as he was hit by a wisp of chi, he would definitely end up in ashes. He was crazy. However, the Fatty's eyes revealed a fierce look as he muttered, Old man, I know you don't want to get involved in this mess, but now your dearest only disciple is about to die. Let's see if you still want to care. Fatty growled and rushed towards the battlefield. In the surroundings, countless gazes were attracted by Fatty and fell on him. Everyone was thinking that this Fatty was crazy. The eyes of the supreme beings flashed, but they didn't stop him. This ant-like thing was courting death. Why did they have to stop him? Once he got close to the battlefield he would die. As the fatty neared the battlefield, a terrifying force, the aftermath of the battle, swept across the void. Wherever the force passed, the void collapsed and a dark and ferocious spatial crack swept towards the fatty. "Old fart, if you still don't come, this lord will die here," the fat man roared. Buzz. At this moment, the space behind the fat man cracked open, and a huge axe slashed out from the void. The space crack was destroyed by the axe. The axe did not stop and continued to slash toward Martial Emperor Di. Martial Emperor Di's face turned serious. He waved his palm and a shocking sword radiance burst out, clashing with the huge axe. It was as if the heavens and earth had been split apart as an incomparably bright light shone out. The space crumbled continuously as an endless amount of energy entered the void. At the same time, the sword ray and the axe also cancelled each other out and disappeared. Heavens, this! Countless people were dumbfounded. Who was it? He could actually fight with Martial Emperor Di? Behind the fatty, a tall figure stepped out from the spatial crack. This was an old man with a messy white beard on his face. However, his body was extremely fat and he was simply an old version of Kong Jin. He stood beside the fat man, exuding a terrifying and supreme aura. This aura was very similar to that of Martial Emperor Di. Emperor, this was a martial emperor. Countless people's hearts twitched. Everything that happened today was beyond their imagination. In the beginning, it was the spiritual god masters who appeared. Then the supremes appeared. In the end, even the 9 Sons Supreme and Martial Emperor Di appeared. Now, another sovereign way master had appeared. And all of this was because of Lu Ming. Because of this young man, these unrivaled figures appeared one after another. It made many people feel like they were dreaming. Old monster Emotion, this matter has nothing to do with you. You want to be my enemy? Martial Emperor Di looked at the fat old man. Martial Emperor Di's words shocked even more people. The demonic sky sovereign. This old man was actually the demonic sky sovereign. The demonic sky sovereign was an extremely famous and invincible master in the Eastern Barren Territory. He was even more famous than Martial Emperor Di. He was a genuine Martial Emperor master. However, the Devil Sky Emperor did not like to establish his own forces. He preferred to live in seclusion and his whereabouts were uncertain. Almost no one knew where he was. In the past thousands of years, the demonic Sky Emperor had disappeared without a trace. No one had ever seen him. There were rumors that the demonic Sky Emperor had probably reached the end of his lifespan and had already died. For thousands of years, countless people in the Eastern Barren Territory had recognized this fact. He had never thought that after thousands of years, the Devil Sky Emperor would actually appear again and not die at all. The lifespan of a king's realm cultivator was 1,000 years. At the Spirit Sea realm, one's lifespan was 2,000 years, and at the Spirit Embryo realm, one's lifespan was 3,000 years. At the Spiritual God realm, one's lifespan could reach up to 5,000 years. However, once he broke through to the Martial Royal realm, his lifespan would be greatly increased, reaching more than 10,000 years. However, the lifespan of a Martial Royal realm martial artist was uncertain. The shorter ones could only live for 10,000 years, while the longer ones could even live for 20,000 years. The demonic sky sovereign was definitely more than 15,000 years old. That was why many people thought that he had died. Aha, Di, you are an Emperor Path expert. Is it interesting to make things difficult for a few juniors? It's so embarrassing. The Devil Sky King chuckled. This is a matter of my Empyrean Heaven Divine Palace. It's not your place to worry about it. Please do as you wish. Martial Emperor Di said coldly. Old man. No, master, that Lu Ming is my brother. We have sworn to live and die together. No matter what, we have to save him today. Otherwise you'll lose me, your disciple. The fatty cried out. I can't interfere with the matters of your Empyrean Heaven Divine Palace. However, that little fellow is my disciple's brother. If he dies, my disciple will die as well. I'm in a very difficult position. How about this? I don't care about your disciples and grand disciples, but I want to take that little fellow away. Demonic Sky Old Freak pointed at Lu Ming and said, Demonic Sky Old Monster, it seems like you want to be my enemy? Martial Emperor Di's face darkened. His target was Lu Ming. How could he let Demonic Sky Old Monster take him away? Di, so what if I'm your enemy? You're just a clone now and your main body is far away overseas, right? Do you think I'm afraid of you? The demonic sky sovereign grinned and stepped forward. His aura exploded and a battle axe appeared in his hand. Chapter 853. 853 Escape from 9 Dragons. You little guys hurry up and go. Leave DE to me. The demonic sky sovereign glanced at 9 Suns Supreme and the others, then swung his axe at Martial Emperor D. This axe could split the sky as if it was going to split the entire 9 dragons in half. Many thanks, Senior. Fanatic, let's go. Supreme Master Jianghu said as he and Yen Kuangtu rushed to the side. You guys stop those 2 rascals. Martial Emperor De slashed out a shocking sword light to fight against the demonic sky sovereign. At the same time he gave orders to the supreme beings of the 6 ancient families. Yes. The 6 great supremes responded and surrounded 9 Suns Supreme and Yen Kuangtu. You 6 are courting death. Yen Kuangtu roared and launched a violent attack. However, 9 Suns Supreme and Yen Kuangtu had been injured during the battle with Martial Emperor De, so their combat strength was not as strong as before. They were blocked by the 6 supremes and could not rush out at all. Today none of you shall think of leaving. The Wang family was furious. He was severely injured by Lu Ming and almost died. It was a great humiliation. He could not wait to skin Lu Ming alive. How could he let Lu Ming leave in peace? His attacks were the most frenzied, and he attacked 9 Suns Supreme and Yen Kuangtu with no regard for his life. Oh really? Explode. 9 Suns Supreme Master suddenly snorted and controlled the Supreme Shrine to crash toward the Wang family master. During the collision, the Supreme Shrine emitted a dazzling light and a terrifying aura. Ah, not good. The Wang clan master's expression changed drastically, and he quickly retreated. But it was too late. Boom. And NBSP, the Supreme God Hall exploded like a sun, and a terrifying energy swept out and drowned the Wang family head. Ah. Ark. The patriarch of the Wang family screamed as his body was sent flying thousands of miles away. His body was in tatters and half of his body had exploded. He had almost died. Tragic, too tragic. Today the Wang family's master was almost killed by Lu Ming. After recovering a little, he was almost killed by the Supreme Shrine's explosion. Charge. 9 Yang Supreme Master and Yen Kuangtu charged forward at top speed. The Supreme Shrine self-destructed and opened up a passage. The 2 of them brought Lu Ming and broke through the siege. Selah. Yen Kuangtu, who had transformed into the 3-legged golden crow, tore the space apart with his claws. He and the 9 Suns Supreme Master rushed into the space crack and disappeared. Chase, chase. Martial Emperor De was furious and roared. The other 5 supreme martial artists tore through space and chased after Yen Kuangtu and the others. Countless people in 9 dragons were stunned. The Supreme Master of 9 Suns and Yen Kuangtu had fled with Lu Ming, but there were still 2 Imperial Path experts fighting in the sky. Today's battle was destined to shake the entire East Baron. Lu Ming's name was bound to attract the attention of everyone in the East Baron. 3 days later, a figure was sitting cross-legged on a mountain peak in the west of 9 dragons. Another figure was constantly patting the former's body, sending true energy into the former's body. A moment later the second figure stopped. The 2 figures were Lu Ming and Yen Kuangtu. Lu Ming sat cross-legged while Yen Kuangtu healed him. After nearly 3 days of traveling, they had finally shaken off the 5 family heads of the ancient families. Yen Kuangtu was there to treat Lu Ming's injuries. Lu Ming's glabella glowed and a black bead flew out. Then, the remnant soul of the 9 Suns Supreme flew out from the bead. At this moment, the remnant soul of the 9 Suns Supreme Master was extremely weak, as if it would dissipate at any moment. How is Lu Ming? The Supreme Martial Artist of the 9 Suns asked. Master, Lu Ming's injuries are very serious. However, after I treated his injuries he's much better. He should be waking up soon. Yen Kuangtu said. At this moment, Lu Ming's body trembled and he spat out a mouthful of blood. He slowly opened his eyes. Where am I? Lu Ming opened his eyes. The environment in front of him stunned him. Wasn't he in 9 dragons? 9 Suns Supreme and Yen Kuangtu were fighting with Martial Emperor De, but it was calm here. There were no signs of a battle. Then he saw Yen Kuangtu and the 9 Suns Supreme. Senior Jiuyang, Big Brother Yen. Lu Ming was overjoyed to see 9 Suns Cosmos and Yen Kuangtu. This battle had started because of him, but it had also implicated Nine Sons Supreme and Yen Kuangtu. If something had happened to Nine Sons Supreme and Yen Kuangtu, he would not have been at ease. However, seeing that both of them were here, he could finally put down the stone in his heart. Lu Ming, how are you feeling? You've been unconscious for 3 days. Supreme Nine Sons said. You've been unconscious for 3 days? I'm already feeling much better. Lu Ming was shocked. Senior Jianghu, what is this place? Could it be that he's no longer in Nine Dragons? Lu Ming asked. He was very curious. At that time, Martial Emperor Di had attacked, so it would have been difficult for Nine Sons Supreme and Yen Kuangtu to escape. Perhaps something else had happened after he fell unconscious. Yes, this place is not in Nine Dragons. It's extremely far away from Nine Dragons. We're almost out of the territory of the Empyrean Heaven Divine Palace. That's right. Yen Kuangtu nodded. This time, it's all thanks to the help of the demonic Sky Emperor. Otherwise, we wouldn't have been able to escape from DE. The demonic Sky Sovereign is the legendary Sovereign Path expert? Lu Ming was extremely shocked. He did not understand why the demonic Sky King would help him. Could it be that he was a helper invited by the Nine Sons Supreme and Yen Kuangtu? That's right. It's that senior. His disciple seems to be your brother. That's why the Devil Sky Emperor came to your rescue. Supreme Martial Artist Nine Sons explained. My brother? Lu Ming was even more surprised. Buzz. At this moment, the space in the sky suddenly split open. Lu Ming was shocked. It should be Senior Mo Tian. Yen Kuangtu said. It was obvious that they had already contacted each other. Sure enough, a few figures stepped out of the spatial crack. One of the elders was the demonic Sky Sovereign. Beside him were 2 young men, a man and a woman. Fatty Tingting. Lu Ming was overjoyed to see the 2 young people. The 2 young men were Fatty and Ruan Tingting. Lu Ming, haha, are you alright? The Fatty grinned and flew toward Lu Ming. I'm fine. Lu Ming smiled. He finally knew who his brother was. It had to be Fatty. He had never thought that Fatty's master would be the legendary Devil Sky Sovereign. Junior pays his respects to Senior Mo Tian. This time I thank Senior Mo Tian for helping me. Yen Kuangtu, the Supreme Master of the Nine Sons, stepped forward and saluted the Devil Sky Emperor to express his gratitude. I'm Lu Ming. Thank you for your help, Senior Mo Tian. Lu Ming also went forward to bow. You don't have to be so polite. If it weren't for my unfilial disciple, I wouldn't have bothered to attack. I've offended DE for no reason. The Devil Sky King said as he curled his lips. Old man, are you afraid of Martial Emperor DE? He asked. The Fatty pouted and looked at the Devil Sky King. Nine Sons Supreme Yen Kuangtu, Lu Ming and Ruan Tingting's eyes twitched, and they almost bit their tongues. Old man who won't die. The Fatty actually called the Devil Sky Emperor that? Chapter 854. 854 Chapter 854 See you at the Battle of Providence. The Devil Sky Sovereign was furious. He blew at his beard and glared, scolding, Little brat, what did you say? Would I be afraid of D? When this old man was roaming the world, your grandfather's grandfather's grandfather wasn't even born yet. Little brat, I'm telling you, I'm afraid of getting into trouble, you know? However, Fatty still pursed his lips and looked at him with suspicion. The demonic Sky Sovereign's aura weakened as he said, Little brat, what do you know? I'm telling you, D, that kid is really talented and his cultivation is extremely profound. This time it's fortunate that it's only his avatar. His real body should be practicing overseas. Otherwise even I might not be able to stop him. Nine Sons Supreme and Yen Kuangtu nodded. They knew very well how powerful Martial Emperor Di was. If he wasn't strong, how could he have built the Empyrean Heaven Divine Palace in the East Baron and be able to compete with the Sky Demon Valley? One must know that the Heavenly Corpse sect didn't even exist before the Emperor's Sky Divine Palace. At that time, there was the Talisman sect and other overlord forces. Only when all the human forces joined forces could they contend with the Heavenly Demon Valley. But now, the Emperor Heaven Divine Palace alone could compete with the Sky Demon Valley, which showed how strong DE was. After this battle, DE's real body will definitely return from the ocean. However, what can help the number one's cultivation must be very far away from the divine wilderness continent. It is impossible to return in a short time. But when he returns, he will definitely try his best to find you. What are your plans next? The Devil Sky Sovereign asked. Senior, we're planning to head to the Talisman Amulet sect next and let Lu Ming prepare for the War of Providence. Supreme Nine Sons said. Well, the Talisman sect's Mount Liangyi can't be broken even if Di Yi's original body comes. It's a good place. The Devil Sky Sovereign nodded. Senior Jianghu, are we going to the Talisman Amulet sect next? Then my parents. Lu Ming's expression changed slightly. He thought of Lu Yintian and the rest. The Lu clan was within the territory of the Empyrean Heaven Divine Palace. Little guy, this little brat has told me about your situation. I live in the east of the East Baron, not far from your hometown. I will take care of your parents. Also, although Martial Emperor Di Yi's behavior is somewhat improper, he is still a martial emperor. He would not touch your family because of you. Otherwise, if word gets out that he, a sovereign path expert, can't deal with a junior in the spiritual ocean realm, and uses his family to threaten him, then Di Yi really can't live in the East Continent anymore. He will lose his dignity. The Devil Sky Sovereign said. Lu Ming was overjoyed. He hurriedly saluted the Devil Sky King and said, Lu Ming, thanks Senior again. Little guy, you don't have to be so polite. Since you have offended Di Yi, it's okay to help you with this little favor. It's also for the sake of this little brat. The Devil Sky Sovereign waved his hand. In fact, he had another plan in mind. Lu Ming was not to be underestimated. He dared to attack an emperor. His determination and courage shocked him. For an ordinary person, it would be good enough if they could stand still in the face of an Imperial Dao expert, let alone make a move. Under that kind of heaven-like aura, they would not be able to raise the slightest bit of fighting spirit. They would be defeated before they even fought. However, Lu Ming, who was in the Spirit Sea realm, was able to go against the flow. It was rare. If Lu Ming could surpass Di Yi in the future, his future would be limitless. On the other hand, he did not have much time left. If he could use this opportunity to build a good relationship with Lu Ming, Kong Jin would be able to use Lu Ming's strength to go further in the future. He was making plans for Kong Jin. The Demonic Sky Sovereign then looked at Nine Sons Supreme and asked, Actually, I'm very curious. Why did Di Yi want to kill you back then? Why is he so determined to capture Lu Ming now? On the side, Yen Kuangtu, Fatty, and Ruan Tingting also looked at the Nine Sons Supreme Martial Artist curiously. It was like this back then? The Nine Sons Supreme Martial Artist explained the entire situation. Damn it, Di is so despicable. I have fought for him for so many years. Yen Kuangtu growled, his anger soaring. I really didn't expect that Di would be so despicable and unscrupulous. It seems that Di is a man of great ambition. The Devil Sky Emperor muttered. Indeed. According to my speculation, Di Yi's plan is not as simple as the East Continent. Supreme Nine Sons said. Well, I'm leaving too. I'm old. In the end, I still have to rely on you to deal with Di Yi. The Demonic Sky Sovereign nodded and said. Lu Ming, I'll look for you at the Talisman Amulet sect half a year later. We'll participate in the Battle of Providence together. I won't fight for the Empyrean Heaven Divine Palace. Fatty said. Lu Ming, I'll take my leave too. Ruan Tingting walked over and said. Alright, take care. We'll meet in the Battle of Providence. Lu Ming cupped his fists. Let's go, little brat. This time when you go back, you'd better cultivate properly. This time, you'll know what it means that there's always someone better than you. The Demonic Sky King cursed. He waved his hand and swept up Fatty and Ruan Tingting. He tore open the space and stepped in. Then the space returned to normal and the few of them disappeared. Lu Ming, these are the things you left in the Supreme Shrine. Take them. The Supreme Shrine has been destroyed. A storage ring appeared in the hands of the Nine Sons Supreme and he handed it to Lu Ming. Senior Jianghu, are you alright? Lu Ming took it and looked at the weak remnant soul of the Nine Sons Supreme. Lu Ming felt terrible. Originally, the soul power of the Nine Sons Supreme had already recovered a lot. However, this time, it became even weaker than before. This time it was all because of him. Lu Ming, don't worry. I'm fine. You don't have to blame yourself. This battle is a good thing for us. The Nine Sons Cosmos Supremacy seemed to have read Lu Ming's mind. Something good? Lu Ming was stunned. That's right. When you used your bloodline, the Supreme of the ancient family arrived immediately. This means that Di Yi had already discovered the appearance of the Nine Dragons bloodline in Nine Dragons, so he sent people to keep an eye on it. I have underestimated Di Yi. In that case, it will be even more dangerous for you. You don't know when Di Yi will find out. If he secretly takes action, we won't even have a chance to fight back. After this battle, the first benefit is clear. We don't have to worry about DE secretly taking action. Also, after this battle, Fanatic will come with us. With his help, my soul power will recover faster. Next, Fanatic will be of great help to you in controlling the Talisman Amulet sect. In addition, we can also befriend the Demonic Sky Sovereign. If the Demonic Sky Sovereign can help us at a critical moment, it will be a great help to us. These are all benefits. Supreme Martial Artist Nine Suns explained. Lu Ming nodded. Indeed, with Yan Kuangtu's help, he would be more confident in his trip to the Talisman Amulet sect. I have this soul gathering pearl. It can slowly recover my soul power. What we need to do now is to recuperate first before going to the Talisman Amulet sect. Once you've settled down there, Fanatic will take me to find a treasure to recover my soul power. With that, the Supreme of Nine Suns flew into the Black Bead and re-entered Lu Ming's glabella. Chapter 855. 855 Talisman Sect, Mount Liangyi. Lu Ming, let's go. Let's leave this place and find a place to recuperate. Yan Kuangtu said. He swept Lu Ming with his vital essence and tore the space apart. The two of them disappeared. A day later, they had completely left the territory of the Empyrean Heaven Divine Palace and entered the territory of the Talisman Amulet sect. The territory that the Talisman Amulet sect currently occupied was much smaller than the Empyrean Heaven Divine Palace. However, it still had over 30 large regions and was extremely vast. In the middle of the vast mountains, there was a small lake that was like a bright pearl. Lu Ming sat cross-legged by the lake and circulated the True War Dragon technique to begin healing. On a mountain peak a few miles away, Yan Kuangtu was also sitting cross-legged, healing his injuries. Yan Kuangtu had also been injured in the battle with Martial Emperor Di. Nine Dragons was not peaceful at all. Although the war was over, the disturbance caused by it was spreading far and wide. Countless people were talking about this matter. Lu Ming Yan Kuangtu, the Supreme Master of the Nine Suns, was being discussed by countless people. The heads of the 9 dragon veins were each guarded by a divine 9-dragon cauldron. After the great battle, the 9 divine cauldrons returned to their old places. They were like the ancient divine mountains, never moving. Countless people went to the heads of the 9 dragon veins to observe. There were even countless people who came forward, hoping to learn from Lu Ming and pull out the cauldron. Unfortunately, they were destined to be disappointed. How could they touch a divine cauldron that an Imperial Path expert could not touch? What? Why is Lu Ming able to pull out the cauldron and even summon the 9 cauldrons while the others can't? What secret does he have? Perhaps he has obtained the recognition of the divine 9-dragon cauldron? Recognition? There's a condition to this. I heard that it has something to do with Lu Ming's bloodline. It said that His Majesty the Martial Emperor made a move for this bloodline. Now that Lu Ming is still alive, do you think he will return one day and summon the 9 cauldrons? Shush, lower your voice, do you want to die? Countless people were discussing, but they were all very careful when it came to sensitive topics. Despite the wind and rain, the 9 cauldrons did not move, as if they were waiting for their master. Time flew by, and in the blink of an eye, half a month had passed. At the lakeside, Lu Ming's body glowed faintly. A tsunami-like sound came from his body. After a while, the sound died down and Lu Ming opened his eyes. I fully recovered from my injuries. It's a pity that the 9-dragon bloodline exploded its golden chakra and I've returned to the 9th level of the King Realm. However, this doesn't matter. As long as I have enough blood essence, I can quickly advance to the level of a god. Lu Ming pondered in his heart. Strength, my strength is still too weak. I'm far from those experts. Lu Ming could not help but clench his fists. After this battle, Lu Ming clearly saw the gap between him and the top master of the East Baron. In front of DE and Martial Emperor, he was like an ant. There was no way to compare. There were also supreme beings and spiritual god realm experts. Each and every one of them was terrifyingly powerful and much more powerful than him. His strength was too weak. If he was weak, he would be in a passive position. Strength. Everything was because of strength. He had to improve his strength as soon as possible. Little Qing, wait for me in the central continent. I will definitely go there and take you away. That day will not be too far away. Lu Ming's eyes were filled with determination. This time he understood that he had been too impulsive. But who had not been impulsive when they were young? Moreover, he had to see the person he loved go to a place she was unwilling to go to and suffer. How could he be indifferent? The key was that he was not strong enough. If he was strong enough, he would be able to break through all obstacles. Who could stop him? This was the second time in his life that Lu Ming had such a strong desire for strength. The first time was when Lu Yao stripped him of his bloodline and wanted to take away the Lu family. At that time, Lu Ming was extremely eager for strength. With strength, he would be able to defeat Lu Yao and regain control of the Lu family, control his own fate, and prevent Li Ping from being bullied. But now he desired strength. With strength, he could take Xian Yinqing away, fight against Martial Emperor Di, and protect his family and friends. Lu Ming took a few deep breaths to calm himself down. I wonder where that fellow Dandan has run off to. At this moment, Lu Ming thought of Dandan. Previously, during the battle in Nine Dragons, Dandan had run away and no one knew where she went. That guy is very cunning. He should be fine. Lu Ming thought to himself. Lu Ming, how are your injuries? He asked. Yan Kuangtu appeared beside Lu Ming and asked. I've already recovered. Lu Ming stood up and said. Okay, let's go to the Talisman Sect's Yin and Yang Mountain. I'm an old friend of the Talisman Sect's leader. I've already informed him. Yan Kuangtu said. I'll have to trouble Big Brother Yan. Lu Ming cupped his fists and said. Haha, why are you being so polite with me? Speaking of which, the two of us can be considered as fellow disciples. It's just that Shizhuan didn't accept you as a disciple. Yan Kuangtu laughed. Immediately, Yan Kuangtu tore open the space and rushed towards the Yin and Yang mountain with Lu Ming. Half a day later, a huge mountain range appeared before Lu Ming's eyes. Although they were miles apart, Lu Ming could still feel the magnificence of the Yin and Yang mountain as he stood high in the sky. Mount Liangyi was the headquarters of the Talisman sect. It was made up of two huge mountain ranges. These two mountain ranges were like two Yin and Yang fish intertwining with each other, forming the shape of the Yin and Yang of Tai Chi. Even though they were separated by a vast distance, Lu Ming could still feel a vast pressure emanating from it. It pressed down on his heart and his sea of consciousness, causing his mental energy fire to throb. Two mountain ranges forming a natural array, with the help of the inscription array, is this the Mount Liangyi, which is said to be unbreakable by martial emperors. As expected, it's the creation of heaven and earth. Lu Ming was secretly amazed. He felt that there were terrifying killing formations around the Yin and Yang mountain. Once a strong enemy approached, they would definitely kill. This was the headquarters of the Talisman Amulet sect. After countless years, it had been engraved with a terrifying killing array. This was also the Talisman Amulet sect's reliance. Although there was no emperor in the Talisman Amulet sect now, it was still one of the four overlord forces. Even DE and martial emperors could not do anything about it. Buzz. At this moment, the space in front of them suddenly fluctuated. Then the space cracked open and a figure stepped out. It was a middle-aged man with a long beard. He was wearing a taiji robe and had a sage-like look. His eyes were filled with wisdom. The moment he appeared, he swept his gaze across Yan Kuangtu and Lu Ming. Yan Kuangtu, you've really caused a big commotion. The battle in Nine Dragons has shaken the entire Eastern Barren territory. I'm afraid that some of the bigger forces have already heard about it. Bai Shijin, are you making fun of me? Yan Kuangtu took a sip of his wine and said casually. He then introduced Lu Ming. This person is called Bai Shijin, the Talisman Sect Master of the Talisman Sect. He can be considered an old acquaintance of mine. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. So this person was the Talisman Sect Master. Right now, the Talisman Sect was divided into two factions, the Talisman faction and the Puppet faction. The two factions were not willing to submit to each other and had endless disputes. You must be Lu Ming? I heard that you were the one who started the Battle of Nine Dragons. I'm very curious. What is it that could make DE take action personally? Bai Shijin looked at Lu Ming, his eyes full of curiosity. Chapter 856. 856 The higher-ups of the Talisman Sect. Bai Shijin will talk about this later. Let's talk about serious business first. Yan Kuangtu said. Serious business? Yan Kuangtu, don't tell me you two really want to join my Talisman Amulet sect? Speaking of which, I think the Sky Demon Valley and the Heavenly Corpse sect are better choices. With the power of the Heavenly Corpse sect or the Sky Demon Valley, we can better fight against the Emperor Sky Divine Palace and DE, right? Bai Shijin said as he stroked his beard. Bai Shijin, you're wrong. I'm not here to seek refuge with the Talisman Amulet sect. I'm here to help Lu Ming take charge of the Talisman Amulet sect. Yan Kuangtu was very direct and went straight to the point. What did you just say? Bai Shijin's body suddenly exploded with a powerful aura. His eyes turned cold as he stared at Yan Kuangtu. Yan Kuangtu, this joke is not funny at all. It's not funny, but it's not a joke. I'll tell you directly. Lu Ming is the inheritor of Senior Lien Song. Yan Kuangtu said. What? What did you just say? This time Bai Shijin almost screamed. He could not control his emotions at all. His eyes were wide open and he looked at Lu Ming in shock. The inheritor of Grandmaster Liao Tsang? You've seen Grandmaster Liao Tsang? Grandmaster has been missing for 3,000 years. Where did you see him? Don't try to lie to me. A bunch of questions popped up in Bai Shijin's mouth. Senior White, whether it's true or not, you'll know after looking at this. Lu Ming took a step forward and with a wave of his hand, the all-array diagram appeared in his hand. He opened the all-array diagram and a powerful aura filled the air. There were mountains, rivers, lakes, and seas carved on it. There were countless wonderful patterns and it was extremely mysterious. Bai Shijin's pupils contracted sharply. His eyes were fixed on the myriad array diagram in Lu Ming's hands as he muttered to himself. It's the all-formation illustration. It's really the all-formation illustration. What's wrong with Grandmaster Lien Song? Why have you disappeared for 3,000 years and still haven't returned? Master Lien Song, I'm afraid you don't have much time left, Lu Ming sighed. What's going on? What's going on? Bai Shijin stared at Lu Ming as if he wanted to see through him. Bai Shijin, you still don't believe me when I have the million formation illustration in my hands. Yan Kuangtu said coldly. The all-formation illustration is Grandmaster Lien Song's divine weapon. It is also the token of the Talisman sect's leader. If not for Grandmaster Lien Song's direct teachings, you would never be able to get it, not even the Emperor. Where is Grandmaster Lien Song now? I want to know. Bai Shijin said. It's like this. Immediately, Lu Ming briefly told him what happened when he met Lien Song. What? The Patriarch was secretly killed by De? Damn it, despicable and shameless De. After listening to Lu Ming's explanation, Bai Shijin roared in anger. He really did not expect that Lien Song would be harmed by De. Then, the Emperor Heaven Divine Palace slowly encroached on the Talisman Amulet sect's territory, causing the Talisman Amulet sect to become weaker and weaker. Bai Shijin, you already know the whole story. Lu Ming is the inheritor of Senior Lien Song. He was entrusted by Senior Lien Song to take charge of the Talisman Amulet sect. Are you going to disobey the Patriarch's order? Yan Kuangtu stared at Bai Shijin and said in a deep voice. Bai Shijin's face darkened as if he was considering something. After a while he said, Back then I was greatly indebted to the Grandmaster. Without him I would not be where I am today. I can never hope for the Grandmaster's kindness and will never go against his orders. However, I can't make the decision in the Talisman Amulet sect. There are still elders in the Talisman sect. Moreover, there are also people from the puppet sect. They might not agree to it. It's extremely difficult for Lu Ming to take over the Talisman Amulet sect. Humph, you mean they won't respect Lien Song's life? Yan Kuangtu said coldly. If Grandmaster Liao Tsang was here, they would not dare to do so. But now Lu Ming is just a junior. I'm afraid it's very difficult for him to do so with just 1 million array illustration. Bai Shijin sighed. Senior White, how would you know if you don't try? Lu Ming smiled. All right, follow me into the Talisman Amulet sect. I will gather the elders of both sects and make a decision together. Bai Shijin thought for a moment and said. All right, let's do that. Yan Kuangtu nodded. Let's go. Bai Shijin tore open the space and the two of them followed him into it. If he followed Bai Shijin, he would naturally not be attacked by the formation. Otherwise, even if he were to tear space apart, he would still be attacked by the formation. The next moment, the space trembled. Lu Ming, Yan Kuangtu, and Bai Shijin appeared in a courtyard. Yan Kuangtu, Lu Ming, the two of you stay here for the night. Tomorrow, I'll gather the higher-ups and elders of both sects to discuss and make a decision. Then the two of you will go together. Bai Shijin said. Lu Ming and Yan Kuangtu nodded, and Bai Shijin left. Big brother Yan, if we enter the Talisman Amulet sect like this, can we trust Bai Shijin? Lu Ming asked Yan Kuangtu. If Bai Shijin harbored ill intentions, it would be very dangerous for them to enter this place. Lu Ming, don't worry about that. Bai Shijin is an old friend of my master. We have known each other for many years. He is a very loyal person. He was taught by Senior Lien Tsang. He is said to be a grand disciple, but he is actually no different from a disciple. He is very loyal to Senior Lien Tsang. Yan Kuangtu said. If that's the case, then that's good. Lu Ming said. Thus they settled down here. A day passed in the blink of an eye. The next day, Lien Tsang sent someone to bring them to the meeting hall. In a huge hall, more than a dozen figures were sitting. There were men and women, middle-aged and white-haired elders. At the very top, on the left sat Bai Shijin, and on the right sat a white-haired old man with the air of a sage. This old man was the current head of the puppet sect, Du Songjue. The dozen or so people in the hall were the highest-ranking doyens in the Talisman sect. Some of them were equivalent to supreme-level doyens, while the weakest of them was equivalent to a peak 9th-level spiritual god realm existence. They were the group of people with the highest status in the Talisman sect. Bai Shijin, you gathered all of us together and said that you have something important to discuss. What is it? Can you tell me now? A burly middle-aged man on the right said. This man was an elder of the puppet sect, Meng Chong. He was extremely powerful, equivalent to a supreme being. As of now, the Talisman Amulet sect only had a total of 5 supreme being experts. One could only imagine how powerful this person was in the Talisman Amulet sect. Not everyone is here yet. I'll tell you when everyone is here. Bai Shijin said. Not yet. The higher-ups of our 2 sects are all here. Who are we waiting for? Meng Chong said. He's waiting for us. A rough voice came from outside the hall. Then 2 figures walked in. Yan Kuangtu, is that you? As soon as Meng Chong saw Yan Kuangtu, he stood up. A Silavira light shone between his brows, but there were traces of faint golden light mixed in the Silavira light. A powerful aura spread out. The faint golden light indicated that the mental fire was about to turn golden. A golden mental fire was equivalent to a level 9 alchemist, which was equivalent to an emperor. Silavira with gold, equivalent to a half-step emperor, a supreme being. Chapter 857. 857 Chapter 857 Daggers drawn. Boom. Yan Kuangtu's body also exploded with a powerful aura. He stared at Meng Chong and said, Meng Chong, what are you shouting for? Are you surprised to see me? Of course I'm surprised to see you. Who doesn't know about the battle in 9 Dragons? Yan Kuangtu, so you escaped from 9 Dragons and came to Mount Liangyi to seek refuge with our Talisman Amulet sect. Bai Shijin, you've gathered us here to discuss Yan Kuangtu's surrender, right? I object. If Martial Emperor De knows that Yan Kuangtu has joined us, he will start a war with the Talisman Amulet sect. It will not be worth it. Meng Chong shouted. That's right. Although Yan Kuangtu's combat strength is strong, it's not worth it to offend Martial Emperor De. The other elders of the puppet sect also chimed in. Lu Ming looked on coldly. It was said that the puppet sect intended to join Martial Emperor De. Now it seemed to be true. However, Bai Shijin and the elders of Fu sect did not say anything. Haha, Meng Chong, I think you're overthinking it. I'm not here to join you. I'm here for brother Lu Ming. Yan Kuangtu laughed. Lu Ming? The rest of the people turned to look at Lu Ming. Their eyes were filled with curiosity. They were curious as to why such a young man could cause a war in 9 Dragons, and why even Martial Emperor De had to fight in person. He's Lu Ming. It's said that the Battle of 9 Dragons was because of him. You want us to protect him, don't you? How could he offend Martial Emperor De because of him? Yan Kuangtu, I advise you to leave quickly. There is no room for discussion. Meng Chong said. Who said that Lu Ming is here to join the Talisman Amulet sect? He's here to take charge of the Talisman Amulet sect. Yan Kuangtu said with a smile. Silence. The hall suddenly fell silent. The patriarchs of the Talisman Amulet sect were stunned. They looked at Yan Kuangtu and Lu Ming in a daze. Haha, Yan Kuangtu, I think you're crazy. You were beaten silly by Martial Emperor De in 9 Dragons. You can't stay in 9 Dragons anymore, so you came to my Talisman Amulet sect to talk nonsense. He, a young boy, is in charge of the Talisman Amulet sect? What a joke, what a joke. After a while Meng Chong laughed crazily. The others also looked at Yan Kuangtu as if he was a madman. Yan Kuangtu pursed his lips and took out his wine gourd. He took a sip of wine and said, "If Lu Ming is Senior Liansong's inheritor and is entrusted by Senior Liansong to take charge of the Talisman Amulet sect, I wonder if it will be possible." Silence. The hall fell silent again, so quiet that even a pin drop could be heard. Nonsense. Grandmaster Liao Tsang has disappeared for 3,000 years. How could he have inherited his legacy? It was still Meng Chong who spoke. Du Songjue's eyes gleamed as he looked at the expressionless Bai Shijin. I wonder if this can prove it. At this moment, Lu Ming took a step forward and the all-array diagram appeared in his hands. All of a sudden, everyone's eyes were focused on the all-formation illustration. Hiss hiss hiss. Then there were gasps of shock. It's the 10,000 formation chart. Oh my god, it's back. The all-formation illustration is the divine weapon of the sect master Lian Tsang. It is also the token of the sect master. Without the sect master's personal teaching, no one else can control it. Is he really the inheritor of the sect master? In the hall, a burst of exclamations came. Silavira light flickered on the foreheads of the Grand Elders as their spirit fire flickered. Their spirit energy was like a spirit storm that filled the hall and formed a powerful pressure. Boy, where did you get the all-formation diagram? Hurry up and hand it over. Meng Chong suddenly stood up. A terrifying pressure emanated from his glabella and pressed toward Lu Ming. His eyes flickered with greed. If he could obtain the 10,000 array diagram, Puppet Sect would be able to command the entire Talisman Amulet Sect. Up above, Du Songjue's eyes were also shining. The mental energy fire between his brows was jumping. He was clearly extremely excited. Bang. Yan Kuangtu took a step forward. A powerful aura surged out and enveloped Lu Ming's body, resisting the pressure. What's wrong? You want to disobey Senior Lian Tsang's order and steal the all-formation illustration? Yan Kuangtu's eyes turned cold. The million array diagram is a sacred object of the Talisman Amulet sect. How can it be controlled by a young kid? Hand over the million array diagram now and tell us about the situation of Grandmaster Liao Tsang. Then we will let you leave safely. Meng Chong said coldly. What a joke. Meng Chong, do you believe that I will cripple you? Yan Kuangtu let out a loud roar. His body was covered in golden crow fire. His violent aura pressed down on Meng Chong, causing the atmosphere in the hall to rise. Meng Chong's expression changed drastically. His mental energy fire flickered, and in front of him, dense inscriptions suddenly spread out, forming a large inscription formation to resist Yan Kuangtu's pressure. At the same time he shouted, Yan Kuangtu, although your combat strength is strong, this is the Talisman sect. If we fight, you will die without a doubt. Enough to kill you. Yan Kuangtu shouted in an overbearing manner. Meng Chong and the other members of the puppet sect looked solemn. They thought of the battle in Nine Dragons. In the Battle of Nine Dragons, Yan Kuangtu's combat strength was unrivaled. He was actually able to fight against 3 great supremes. His combat strength had reached a terrifying level. If they were to really fight him, they would have to pay a heavy price even if they could take him down. Haha, Meng Chong, brother fanatic, we are all old acquaintances. Why are we so tense? Let's sit down and talk slowly. At this moment, Du Songjue, who had been silent the entire time, laughed. Meng Chong snorted and sat down again. Yan Kuangtu chuckled and retracted his aura. Lu Ming did not say anything. He sighed in his heart. He already knew that it would not be easy to control the Talisman Amulet sect with just the 10,000 array diagram. And this was with Yan Kuangtu around. If he was alone, he believed that the Talisman sect would definitely kill him and seize the million array diagram without any room for negotiation. This was strength. Only with strength would there be room for negotiation. Lu Ming has inherited Grandmaster Liao Tsang's legacy. This can't be wrong. Otherwise, he wouldn't be able to control the all-formation illustration. Bai Shijin slowly opened his mouth. That's true. The other elders of Talisman sect also nodded. So what if this is the case? To let a young kid like him take charge of the Talisman Amulet sect? Moreover, he has offended Martial Emperor De. If Martial Emperor De comes to find him, it will be a big disaster. Meng Chong coldly snorted. Hee Meng Chong, I know that your puppet sect wants to join Martial Emperor De's side, but is De worth it? For example, my master, the Nine Suns Supreme, has made many contributions to De, but he still killed him. If you join him, you might end up the same way. Yan Kuangtu laughed. The expressions of Du Songjue, Meng Chong and the rest of the puppet sect changed, but they did not say anything. And let me tell you something. Didn't you want to know why Senior Lien Song suddenly disappeared? He was killed by DE, and only a wisp of his soul was left, which escaped underground. Yen Kuangtu's voice was like a storm that swept through the hall. Chapter 858. 858 Chapter 858 Displaying Talent. Other than Bai Shijin, who knew about this in advance and was relatively calm, the others were so shocked that they almost jumped up. What? Sect Master Lien Song was actually killed by Martial Emperor Di? How is that possible? Such a thing actually happened. All the elders were shocked, especially the puppet sect's elders. It's absolutely true. Master said it himself. The all-formation diagram is now half ruined because Master was seriously injured in the battle with Di. Lu Ming said loudly. As soon as Lu Ming finished speaking, a figure stepped out from between his eyebrows. It was the Nine Sons Supreme. The Nine Sons Supreme. The members of the Talisman sect all looked over at Paragon Nine Sons. Many of them had been old acquaintances with him. Everyone, what Lu Ming said is true. I have met Senior Lien Song once underground. Supreme Nine Sons said. The words of the Nine Sons Supreme Master made everyone fall into silence. Master, you were actually killed by Martial Emperor Di? Du Songjue muttered to himself. Du Songjue was the personal disciple of Lien Song. So, do you still want to join Di? If the other disciples of the Talisman Amulet sect knew that the sect master, the master of the Talisman Amulet sect, had been killed by Martial Emperor Di, and that you wanted to join him instead, what would they think? Yen Kuangtu sneered. The faces of Meng Chong and the other founding elders of the puppet sect turned ugly. Di had secretly harmed Lien Song and then encroached on the territory of the Talisman Amulet sect. They were mortal enemies. How could they rely on Di? If the disciples in the sect knew about this, many of them would probably rebel, right? Since Di had harmed Lien Song, how could he accept them? They wouldn't be on guard against them. This path was clearly impossible. What the Talisman Amulet sect can do now is to unite and accumulate strength to fight against the Emperor Heaven Divine Palace and Martial Emperor Di. Otherwise, only defeat awaits them. Yen Kuangtu shouted. What a joke. How can he fight against Martial Emperor Di? Who can compete with Di if he is not an emperor? Meng Chong sneered. The others nodded in agreement. If someone can break into the martial royal realm, he can naturally compete with Di and even kill him. Yen Kuangtu said. Break into the martial royal realm? It's not that easy. In the past 10,000 years, how many peerless geniuses have been born in the Eastern Barren Territory? How many of them can break through to the martial royal realm? On average, there's only one in a few thousand years. Yen Kuangtu, you are known as the Heaven Chosen of the Emperor Heaven Divine Palace that only appears once every 1,000 years. Are you confident? Meng Chong looked at Yen Kuangtu with a sneer. I might not be able to do it, but Lu Ming definitely can. Yen Kuangtu said. Him? What right did a young kid have? What a joke. Meng Chong sneered. I think so too. Besides, Senior Lien Song also thinks so. The Nine Sons Supreme Martial Artist spoke, causing Meng Chong to shut up. The people from the Talisman sect could not help but focus their attention on Lu Ming again. They could not help but recall the rumors about Lu Ming. Even Martial Emperor Di had taken action because of him. Yen Kuangtu and Master Jianghu, the two unrivaled Supreme Masters, trusted him so much. Also, why did Lien Song pass his inheritance to him? What was so special about him? He was worthy of the attention of so many big shots. Attention. Everyone, since Lu Ming has received the Grandmaster's legacy, we cannot disobey the Grandmaster's orders. At this moment, Bai Shijin spoke again. This matter is of great importance. It concerns the future of the Talisman Amulet sect. We have to consider it carefully unless Lu Ming can prove that he is worth the risk. Du Songjue said. That's right. I've only heard that this kid is very talented in martial arts. However, if he wants to control our Talisman Amulet sect, he can't rely on martial arts. Kid, show me your spiritual ring. Meng Chong said coldly. The corners of Lu Ming's lips curled into a smile. It was obvious that the people from the puppet sect had started to relent. This was a good start. Seniors, since you want to see it, then take a look. Lu Ming stepped forward and cupped his fists. At the same time, the space between his eyebrows glowed and 6 spiritual rings appeared above his head. Red, orange, yellow, green, cyan, and blue, 6 colors and 6 rings. The hall fell into silence again. Everyone's eyes and mouth were wide open. They looked at Lu Ming in a daze. They looked at the spirit ring on top of his head and revealed looks of disbelief. Perfection, all of them have reached perfection. The first 5 levels have all reached perfection. How is this possible? Meng Chong opened his mouth wide as if he had just swallowed a dead rat. Genius, a peerless genius. This kind of talent is comparable to that of Lien Tsang. That's right. Back then, the ancestral master Liao Tsang had completed the first 5 levels. For the 6th level, he had lit 9 lamps. Lu Ming has a chance of reaching the heights of the ancestral master Liao Tsang. The patriarchs of the Talisman Amulet sect were discussing in shock. Bai Shijin was also dumbfounded and shocked. The reason why he was on Lu Ming's side was mainly because of Lien Tsang's legacy. No matter who Lien Tsang's legacy was passed on to, he would support it. However, he never expected that Lu Ming's talent in inscription was so terrifying. The first 5 levels were all in the Great Circle. In the past 10,000 years, no one in the Talisman sect had reached this level except for Lien Tsang. On the side, Yen Kuangtu was also dumbfounded. He did not know that Lu Ming's Tao of inscription was so terrifying. He could not help but smile bitterly. He's a dual cultivator, yet he's still able to achieve such an achievement. This kid is amazing. No wonder he was chosen by Grandmaster Liao Tsang. Who knows, he might be able to revitalize our Talisman Amulet sect in the future. That's hard to say. The elders of the Talisman sect discussed. Bai Shijin, this matter is of great importance. Let's discuss it. Du Songjue looked at Bai Shijin. I called you here to discuss this. Bai Shijin nodded. He then looked at Lu Ming, Yen Kuangtu, and the others. Why don't you all wait outside the hall first? We need to discuss this. All right, seniors, please go ahead. Lu Ming cupped his fists and walked out of the hall with Yen Kuangtu. It's almost done, but it's impossible for Lu Ming to take charge of the Talisman Amulet sect like this. I reckon that the Talisman Amulet sect will put Lu Ming through some tests. Supreme Nine Sons said. There's no harm in testing. Lu Ming smiled confidently. Then they waited quietly. This wait lasted for 3 hours before someone finally called for them to enter the hall again. Lu Ming, you're still young and your cultivation level is still low. I'm afraid that most people won't be happy if you're in charge of the Talisman Amulet sect now. It'll only bring more trouble. We've discussed with the elders and decided to let you be one of the candidates for the Talisman Amulet sect's Zongzi. What do you think? Bai Shijin was the first to speak. Every sect would have a few Zongzi candidates. These people were all peerless geniuses who would compete with each other. Only the one who stood out in the end would become a true Zongzi and inherit the sect in the future. Chapter 859. 859. A huge test. Many thanks to all the seniors. Lu Ming cupped his fists and said. It was already very difficult to become a Zongzi candidate. After all, Lu Ming had only just arrived. He had only managed to become a Zongzi because of Yen Kuangtu and the martial prowess of the Nine Sons Supreme. If he had come alone, it would be impossible for these big shots to compromise, and he would not have the chance to show off. He would first obtain the Zongzi candidate position, then he would have to fight for it himself. Du Songjue and the rest nodded. Lu Ming's neither arrogant nor impatient attitude made everyone satisfied. First of all, I'll make you a Zongzi candidate. However, if you want to become an official Zongzi and take charge of the Talisman Amulet sect in the future, there's one more condition. Du Songjue said slowly. It's here. Lu Ming's heart skipped a beat. He understood that there would definitely be conditions. It would not be that simple. Senior, please speak. Lu Ming said. The condition is that you must stand out in the upcoming Battle of Providence and win first place. That way, you can immediately become an official Zongzi after the Battle of Providence ends. Du Songjue said. The sect masters and elders of the Talisman sect, and Puppet sect stared at Lu Ming without blinking. Before Lu Ming could speak, Yen Kuangtu roared, What? The first place in the Battle of Providence? How was this possible? Lu Ming has only cultivated for a short period of time. You are deliberately making things difficult for him. This condition is too difficult. Change it. First place in the Battle of Providence. Even though Yan Kuangtu was mentally prepared, he was still shocked. He did not doubt Lu Ming's talent. However, Lu Ming's cultivation time was still slightly shorter than the other geniuses. The top 100 on the list of top 1,000 talents were all crazy, especially the top 10 who were extremely terrifying. Furthermore, there were also many newly emerged Heaven's favorites who were extremely brilliant. No one knew how strong they were. And this was the human race. The heavenly monster tribe had many descendants with powerful bloodlines. It was too difficult to win first place. This was simply deliberately making things difficult for him. Yan Kuangtu, this condition is difficult, but it's even more difficult to break through to the martial emperor realm and compete with Di. The martial royal realm only appears once every few thousand years in the eastern barren territory. How many heaven's favorites have been born in the past few thousand years? Even if this generation is a golden age with many geniuses, there are only a few who can break through to the martial emperor realm in the future. Lu Ming must suppress this era so that he can have a chance to break through to the martial emperor realm in the future. Only then will he have a chance to compete with or even defeat Di. Meng Chang's eyes were bright as he shouted. Yan Kuangtu remained silent. He knew that Meng Chang's words made sense. Good. I agree. A clear voice suddenly sounded. Many people's eyes lit up and they looked at Lu Ming. Lu Ming stood in the hall quietly, his body straight. His eyes were filled with determination and confidence. First place in the Battle of Providence? He had to do it and he had to do it. As Meng Chong had said, if he couldn't do it, how could he fight against Martial Emperor Di? Anyone who had reached the martial royal realm was a legend. And he wanted to create his own legend. Although he knew it would be difficult, he was motivated only when there was pressure. Alright, it's a deal then. If you can obtain first place in the Battle of Providence, you will definitely bring great luck to the Talisman Amulet sect. When that time comes, I will not go back on my words and will definitely assist you to become the sect leader. Anyone who wants to stop you will have to go through me first. Du Songjue stood up, his voice resounding and powerful. In the past, the puppet sect wanted to seek refuge with Martial Emperor Di because they were afraid that the Talisman sect would be destroyed. They just wanted to leave behind some of their descendants, not because they were really afraid of death. That's what I wanted to say. Chapter 860. 860 Chapter 860 by Qishue. Qishue, what kind of attitude is this? Alright, now bring Tianyun to Cloud Peak Residence. You can also take a look around the surrounding area. Bai Shijin ordered. Bai Qishue stomped her feet and turned to leave without looking at Lu Ming. Lu Ming touched his nose with a bitter smile. He really wanted to suggest that Bai Shijin arrange another place for him to stay. It would be more peaceful to stay alone. However, he thought that the Yun Peak house must be very special. It must have been specially arranged by Shijin. Lu Ming did not say anything. He bid farewell to Yan Kuangtu and Bai Shijin and left with Bai Qishue. After Lu Ming and Bai Qishue left, Yan Kuangtu looked at Bai Shijin with a faint smile and said, Bai Shijin, you're really a sly old fox. What are you planning by arranging for such a beautiful disciple to stay with Lu Ming? Cough cough. Bai Shijin coughed a few times and blushed. Brother Yan, you're thinking too much. Lu Ming is a genius. I just want my disciple to learn more from Lu Ming. As for the sparks between young people, that's all up to fate. Ah. Bai Shijin laughed awkwardly. The meeting hall was at the center of the Tai Chi Yin Yang fish. Lu Ming followed Bai Qishue out of the meeting hall and walked toward the Yin fish. Along the way, Bai Qishue pouted and did not say a word. She did not even look at Lu Ming as she continued to fly. Lu Ming smiled bitterly. He could only brace himself and follow. Liangyi Mountain was very vast and occupied a large area. There were countless mountains, lakes, and blessed lands. The two of them flew for more than 100,000 miles, crossing countless mountains and rivers along the way. Finally, they flew toward a peak shrouded in clouds and mist. On the peak of the mountain, there was a courtyard that was exquisitely built. This was Yun Peak House. What a wonderful place. Lu Ming's eyes lit up the moment he landed on the mountain. He could feel the mental energy fire throbbing in his sea of consciousness. It seemed that he could easily sense the existence of the inscription laws and absorb the inscription power from them to upgrade his mental energy fire. Lu Ming secretly sighed. The world was really wonderful. There were all kinds of strange places. Some places had spiritual eyes and extremely dense spiritual energy. Some places had eyes of Tao, which could help him understand the essence realm of heaven and earth more clearly. However, there was the eye of inscription here, which could easily sense the laws of inscription and absorb the power of inscription. No wonder Bai Shijin had arranged for him to come here. He also hoped that he could improve faster before the Battle of Providence. Bai Qixue opened the door and walked in, followed by Lu Ming. As soon as he entered, Lu Ming noticed that there were some platforms in the courtyard. On the platforms there were various materials. Lu Ming took one look and knew that they were the materials to refine various runes and inscription scrolls. It seemed that Bai Qixue had been making runes here. That room is yours. Bai Qixue pointed at a room on the left and spoke for the first time. Her voice was clear and pleasant to the ears. "En?" Lu Ming nodded. "Also, let me tell you, the things in this courtyard are all things that I used to make inscription scrolls. If you don't understand, don't touch them, understand?" Bai Qixue looked at Lu Ming. She had never seen Lu Ming in the Talisman Amulet sect. Among the paragons of the Talisman Amulet sect, there was no one named Lu Ming. She did not know where her master had found this person. He was so important to her that he even allowed him to stay in Yin Peak House. However, in her heart, since he was not a paragon of the Talisman Amulet sect, his Tao of inscription would not be any better. She was really afraid that Lu Ming would damage her materials and disturb her cultivation. "All right, I won't touch it." Lu Ming nodded. He could not be bothered to argue with a young lady. Immediately after, Lu Ming looked around and walked into the room on the left, closing the door. "I'm cultivating here alone and I'm free. Master even arranged for someone to come in and he's a man. I have to think of a way to make him leave on his own." Bai Qixue looked at Lu Ming's door, her eyes darting around. "Yes, I did. He just came here, so he must not know anything. I just ignored him after that. What did he ask me? I already said I don't know. Let's just ignore him and see how long he can stay." With that thought in mind, Bai Qixue smiled and felt much better. She started to study the inscription scrolls in the yard. "This place is indeed wondrous. My mental energy fire is about to make a breakthrough. Let's try the effects." Lu Ming immediately sat cross-legged and activated the meditation. Immediately, his mind seemed to pass through layers of void and enter the inscription law. The surrounding inscription power was endless and very clear. It was as if Lu Ming could quickly absorb it with a single thought. He immediately started cultivating. Wisps of the power of inscription passed through the void and landed in Lu Ming's sea of consciousness. They were absorbed by his mental energy fire, and Lu Ming's mental energy fire slowly became more vigorous. In his sea of consciousness, 4 blue spirit lamps were burning fiercely. They had already reached their limit and were only one step away from lighting 5. "This is amazing. I can absorb the power of inscription dozens of times faster than other places. It's even more amazing with my meditation of the underworld." Lu Ming was shocked and he put in more effort in his cultivation. In the blink of an eye, a day and a night had passed. In his sea of consciousness, the flames of the 4 blue spirit lamps were already at their peak. Suddenly, a blue flame appeared in the 5th spirit lamp and jumped in the air. The 5th lamp of spirit was lit. Lu Ming opened his eyes after a while. 5 blue spirit lamps. Now, my spirit energy is boundless. I wonder what level it has reached. Lu Ming pondered for a moment. Then he waved his fingers and started to inscribe in the air. Inscriptions appeared and glowed as if they were going to be carved into the space. In an instant, an array was formed and embedded in the void, shining with a faint light. Unfortunately, after 10 breaths, the formation collapsed. There's still a gap. My mind power can't inscribe formations in the air yet. Perhaps I'll be able to do it if I light 1 or 2 more lamps. Lu Ming pondered in his heart. If this was known by others, their jaws would probably drop. It was extremely difficult to inscribe an array in the void. One had to be a rank 7 true inscription refinement master, which was equivalent to a spirit embryo realm expert. Furthermore, a true inscription alchemist who had just broken through to rank 7 would not be able to do so. The array carved in the air could not be left there for long. Only an expert among rank 7 alchemists could do it. As for Lu Ming, he was only a 6th level alchemist, but the array he inscribed could already stay in the void for a short time. He believed that if his mental strength was stronger, he could really inscribe an array in the void. This was extremely shocking. A level 6 inscriber could inscribe an array in the void, and not many people had been able to do it since ancient times. Once it was achieved, Lu Ming's combat strength would increase rapidly and the restrictions of the Tao of Inscription would be even less. With my current combat strength, I'm still far from being able to win first place in the Battle of Providence. It's unrealistic to rush up in either one of them in a short time. Martial arts and the Tao of Inscription must advance together and cooperate with each other to exert great power. Only then will I have a greater chance of winning. The most important thing now is to raise the bloodline of the 9 dragons to the level of divine bloodline again. The Talisman Amulet sect focuses on the Tao of Inscription. I believe that there will be a lot of demonic beast blood essence. I'll go and buy some first. At the thought of this, Lu Ming got up, pushed the door open and walked out. You're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.